orbital.
RCP chamber pressure looks good. Toggling up. Roger roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight down SE off. Bring in SE off. Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks, you know the drill. It's a big day today. We've gotten as far as the pad being cleared out there at Starbase. Boca Chica, Texas, the NASA spaceflight team is standing by for what may very well be the first static fire test for a booster, a super heavy booster with the Starship program down there at Starbase. I'm John Galloway with NASA Spaceflight. Y'all know the drill. Let me know that everything is good. You should see a fantastic live view, one of our mini cameras down at Starbase. Make sure you can see that, and you should be able to hear me as well. Some of you probably don't want to hear me. You can go back to the 24/7 stream where there's no commentary. But I see a ton of 5x5s in the chat. That's what I like to see. And we are ready to get going. Let me go ahead and introduce the folks that are going to be with me today. You've heard the voice just a couple, how many days ago was that, Matt? Like yesterday, day before?
I think so. It all blurs together.
I don't even remember. They were just, it seems so soon or so long ago that they were just stacking things on the tower. Matt Anderson is with me here today. How you doing, Matt?
Doing really good. Very happy to be back.
All right. He will be joining us for some commentary. It says guest commentator. At some point, we may remove that guest. But you can find him over on Twitter at Bad News Baron. One of my friends from Twitch, twitch.tv/badnewsbaron as well.
I'm still in a trial period until I, decide if I'm going to burn things down or not.
Yeah, still in a trial period. I like it. Didn't we threaten them that if they didn't behave, you would come back on the next stream? Like, what did they do wrong?
Yep.
Hey, also with us, we're going to do a comms check on this because we know he's on the road. Jack Beyer, are you here?
Yeah, can you hear me, or am I a robot?
I mean, I personally think you're a robot. I haven't found the little synth chip in you, but I think you're a robot regardless of whether or not I can hear you. You sound fine, though. Chat, can y'all hear Jack? Say hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack. Beep boop, I'm a robot.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, Dad. Jack Beyer is here as well. You've heard his voice quite a bit. I said you're on the road, Jack.
Yep. Sure enough, I'm in El Paso.
Well, why would you be in El Paso?
Soon to be Van Horn. I'm actually supposed to get on a shuttle bus late tonight. So, yeah, New Shepard. First team space flight for New Shepard. So that'll be exciting.
Wait, photographer Jack Beyer?
Yeah, that guy.
Your work is incredible. Sorry, I have to just fanboy a little bit.
Yeah, it's just point and shoot. No big deal.
No, it's not that simple because I've tried and it's not nearly as good.
It's honestly, it's like 50% luck, 20% skill, and what is it, 30% being in the right place at the right time. So don't chalk it all up to skill. But thank you, I appreciate. I'll take all the accolades you want to give me.
I thought it was supposed to be like sheer power of will or something in there. Isn't that how that ends?
Yeah, sure enough.
Anyways, y'all, Jack's going to be here as well. He's at the Jack Beyer over on Twitter. Also, pulling the levers and pressing the buttons in the background, Michael Baylor. We got you, right, Michael?
Yes, you do, and I'm going to keep it short because I'm pulling a lot of levers right now.
Well, if you need any help pulling levers, let me know if there's something I can do to help you out. But Michael is running the stream today, and we are working on getting all the cameras online to share with y'all what's going on. At Next Spaceflight over there on Twitter. Of course, as we go through, we'll have commentators rotating in and out, and we are now standing by, like I said, if you're just joining us, for what may very well be the first static fire of the super heavy booster. This is B3, Booster 3. It's got 3 Raptors underneath. You can see that. We're actually going to change some cameras here in just a minute, but hopefully today we're expecting all 3 of those Raptors to fire up. Now, big old negative Nancy that I am, this is the first time that SpaceX has gotten this far and attempted this entire process. It's a new vehicle. The engines have been doing pretty well, it seems, but there may very well be a couple of recycles. We don't know. Remember, the engines are smart, the vehicle's smart, there's thousands of sensors being watched, and if one of those sensors doesn't like something, instead of blowing the whole thing up, it may call itself off. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go through a recycle today where we see all this activity, we see all this venting, it looks like it's about to go, and cryogenic liquids just spewing out of the rocket, and then it all stops and it recycles. I would not be surprised today. But, of course, that's part of the test. That's how you earn your wings as a Texas Tank Watcher, and we will be here watching it, sharing it with you. Again, the housekeeping, the streams are live. Over here, this is our commentary stream, not to be confused with our 24/7 Starbase live stream that stays live all the time. No commentary over there. You can actually see some different camera angles over there as well that we may not be showing on the commentary stream. But here on the commentary stream in this chat, tag us in chat at NASA Spaceflight. You got a question for us? We've got some cool software on the back end where we can actually read your questions. Same things with super chats. If you do a super chat, you have the ability to support what we do in this live coverage we share with you. We will go through and read the super chats on occasion. Sometimes they wait a little bit depending on what's going on, but we appreciate you being patient. We do try to say thank you to a bunch of the people that make this possible. So without anything
Yeah, including all the new members. We got a bunch of new members already.
Absolutely. Jack, do you have that up right now? Could you say thanks to some people showing up here?
Ryan, thank you for the new membership. Kendall, thank you for the new membership. And Steve Bowen, thank you for the new membership. We love all of our members. We love all of our viewers equally, but we especially love our members. Thank you so much to everybody who supports us in that way. And super chat from Taylor R137, thank you so much. Super chat from Ken, saying, let's hear some Raptors roar. I can talk. Thank you, Ken. And Moldy Space Industries, always got to pop in at the beginning of these streams and throughout. What's up, Moldy Space? Thank you for all of the support throughout the years? Can I say throughout the years at this point? It's been a while. And
it's
they
more
say
than a year.
Yeah, I'll buy it. Years. And they say shiny rocket tall. So thank you so much, Moldy Space. Thank you, Jack LaRue, for the new membership, and thank you, Jim, for the super chat there. So we're all cleared out. We're all caught up. Thank you, everybody, for the support. You help us keep the lights on, pay the bills, and do the thing. I mean, hey, if you like Starship coverage, and now I guess super heavy coverage, that's how you get it, is by supporting us and what we do. So thank you, everybody that does that. I'll shut up now.
This is Texas, so it's officially a tall boy.
It's a tall boy?
Yeah.
I think somebody was joking about putting a tap on the side of this and making it the world's largest keg party.
It looks like it. So we're at 3 engines right now, but the planned configuration is 33?
So eventually they want to get to 33. This vehicle physically does not have mount points for 33. This variant has 29, and it's expected that the next couple of builds that they do are going to only have 29 mount points. And then they're going to eventually get to 33 mount points. But here today, there are 3 engines underneath that, and we hope to see all. We think that all 3 of them are going to light today. We'll see. We'll see.
So why 29?
Because that's as many as they could fit at this point, I presume.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a matter of packaging them all in the space that they have. And this design has gone through so many revisions, probably a bunch that we haven't even ever seen or gotten wind of. But I think at one point it was supposed to have a flared base so that there was even more room for more engines. But yeah, I think at this point they're trying to not do that, and they are just trying to pack as many in as possible. And perhaps 29 now and 33 later is just a function of shrinking the engines or components of the engines, or figuring out ways to package them. Or it's like steel origami, or steel and rocket engine origami. Like, it's going to be very tight to pack even 29 in there. So 33, I think, is just going to be, as they get better at packaging and making Raptors more compact, they'll be able to jam more in there. But it's curious. It's definitely curious that they're.
Is heat dissipation at all a concern when you start getting so many engines that tightly packed together?
I think that's a DOS question. What do you think, DOS?
So yes, we've seen some insulation on the Falcon 9s. The way that the Octaweb is sort of put together, they do have some separators to sort of separate out some of the engine bays, and you don't see that here on Super Heavy. Clearly, SpaceX has done the math, and they know how much energy that engine puts out. It's definitely a guess, test, and revise sort of thing, so that's why they do this test program. Static fires, all that sort of stuff. They're always gathering data to see how the engines behave when there's other engines nearby being very hot. So it's something that I'm sure they've thought of, but we haven't really seen any plans for them to put any dividers or anything like that in between the engines. At least there doesn't seem to be anything on the thrust pucks or the aft end of the Super Heavy booster that would sort of hint towards them putting any sort of dividers in. We do know that unlike the Starships, the Raptors are just going to hang off the back of the rocket. So on Starship, they're sort of tucked up underneath a skirt, and here on Super Heavy, they're literally just going to be exposed. That's why we can see them here. And at some point, we're going to get a little bit closer shot of these just to change the contrast around, so we can talk a little bit more of those. But that's a really good question, and I guarantee you SpaceX has done the math.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and it immediately gives me Kerbal Space Program vibes. Like, oops, I packaged too many engines too close together with a solid booster on the side.
Exactly why I asked, yeah.
It's just going to immediately overheat. Whoops.
Wait,
Look,
you know,
go ahead.
We say Kerbal and we sort of joke about it, but that's another thing. If you've ever built a rocket in Kerbal Space Program is a video game where you get to build your own rockets, right? And in Kerbal doesn't care if your engine bells phase through each other. It's like some sort of quantum multi-position phase state. I don't know. The engine bells can touch each other, and the game doesn't care. And in real life, if you crash two engine bells together, not only do they make a huge bonking noise, they break and don't work very well. So they don't want, as these engines are gimbaling, them to hit each other. So packing 29 or 33 engines up underneath the bottom of the Super Heavy booster, it takes some planning, because it's not just, okay, the circles fit, we're cool. Some of those circles actually need to wiggle back and forth, and if they wiggle back and forth and hit each other, you're not going to have a good day.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I don't think we know even at this point how many are going to gimbal. Maybe there's an Elon tweet from the last couple days that I've missed, but I think just the center cluster, or maybe just
That
the
hotel.
middle cluster, or that's something they have to take in. Is it cutting out?
Yeah, we get it. It sounds like we got that hotel Wi-Fi. It's really not bad though, Jack. It was just one little hiccup there.
Let me know if it keeps happening. My bad.
It just hold still and try to put a little tinfoil around the side of your cell phone. Does that work?
I'm on my computer. I was hoping the bigger antennas on the computer would do me well.
Yeah, you need some tinfoil on the computer, it seems, because you're sort of phasing in and out a little bit. But see if we can we grab a question and just toss it over to the class here, maybe out of the panel, Jack, if you got that.
Do you think militaries will use Starship for point-to-point troop deployment?
Wow, you're just going to start with that one?
Yep.
Jeez. I don't know, Matt, what do you think? Starship military uses? That's a heavy topic.
Typically, in a military situation, countries get really antsy when you're launching giant missiles at each other.
That's a good point. I mean, it's one thing to have a C-130 flying into your airspace. It's another thing entirely to have a suborbital rocket coming in hot to deploy the troops. That's in the communication of that. You don't want to be deploying troops somewhere over on the other side of the world and have somebody wonder or get spooked out that maybe something else is going on. That's definitely
I don't really know
something
that there's
you
an established protocol yet.
I know. I mean, who do we post up on the internet? Hey, by the way, we're deploying troops and they're coming in a suborbital rocket. Like, that seems
We
like
promise
something.
it's not a nuke. We swear it's definitely not a nuke. It's just troops. It's just troops.
Yeah, that sounds like a very sticky situation. So I think there's a lot of stuff that would be. I mean, hey, let's be realistic. That's something that may happen at some point. It may be that the Department of Defense, we know that the Department of Defense funds SpaceX operations. They hire SpaceX for missions. SpaceX deploys satellites and stuff like that for the DoD. So will at some point Starship become actual Starship troopers? I don't know. I don't know. A lot to think about there. Of course, we're super interested in the peaceful uses, the exploration. We want to be able to live and work in space. We want bigger space stations. We want to be able to go and put a moon base that's actually sustainable, not just boots and flags. So that's what we're really interested in. Elon's plan all the way out to Mars one day, right? So I know that is Elon's goal for the program. However, pragmatically, it has to be funded. Things have to be paid for, and that's Elon's call, y'all. That's something that's going to be up to SpaceX.
My
Like,
understanding,
really-
anyway, after the last Jurassic World was that the military is more interested in the Raptors anyway. So
And
Uh,
sorry, really
ahead, Michael.
quickly, Jost.
Yep.
We have good news in our technical end. I need you to proceed with the robot swap.
All right, stand by, Jack and Matt. Y'all hold it down. I got some tech stuff to do.
Cool. Hopefully my voice doesn't cut out too bad. Let's see. Orc Cloud asking if they think we will see the hot gas thrusters being tested today. That's always a possibility. We've seen a number of static fires where during that same window they did a test of the thrusters or what have you. So that's always a possibility. Sorry, Matt, didn't really have a way to
No,
bring
that's
you in
fine.
on that one. Let's see.
I hope we get to see it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, more testing is more better, right? Let's see. Mr. Gonzinator asking, what do we snack on during a long live stream? I mean, I've just got some soda here, maybe some chips or something. Not really relevant to the booster thing, but you know, sometimes we like to have fun. Do you have any live stream snacks of choice, Matt? We're building a rapport here. We're getting the audience to know you.
I have lots of Topo Chico.
Topo
Just-
Chico,
just
we're
bottles
immediately
and
best
bottles of Topo
friends.
Chico, yes.
We're immediately best friends. It's the best drink.
form
Not,
of water. Yeah.
NASA Spaceflight not sponsored by Topo Chico, but it's delicious. Have you ever
But we'd
considered?
like to be.
Yeah, right. Oh man, let's see what else we got here. Asking how many Raptors are installed. There are 3 currently installed, right, Matt?
Yes, that's correct.
Cool.
The
3
thrust.
Raptors.
The thrust
Yeah,
is
and
3. I told
Therefore, the
y'all.
thrust is 3. Correct. That is correct. Go do the work things. You're not allowed to make jokes.
I can still make snide remarks.
Okay, fine. Let's see. Sathinel asking the Raptors are off center, or aren't the Raptors off center? Yes, they are. They are not installed on the central, or the center part of the mount. I forget.
Should we tell SpaceX?
Shh. Maybe they won't static fire then. We got to be quiet. Quiet. No, was it what stream the other day? I saw Michael like annotating a diagram of what engines were installed, but it is not the center engines only. They are in fact off to the side.
Why would that be?
I don't know. That's a very good question. You know, just spitballing here. Perhaps they're confident in the plumbing for the central portion, given as there might be some commonality there with Starship and its engines which are centered, and which they have static fired 3 of them many times. Maybe they wanted to get a test of engines further out on the mount and see what that would be like. That's a really good question. I'm not quite sure why they would mount them like that and
Weight
not just
distribution
go
isn't
with.
too much of a concern there, right? Because they gimbal.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a matter of they would need to install them centered so that the weight on the booster is uniform, and I don't think they'll be gimbling at all during the test. I'm not sure why they would.
Static. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I wish it was flying today. Let's see, but yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. Why they might do that?
Mentioning Kerbal earlier.
Wait, but that was me. No.
Exactly.
Let's see. Here's a question that we don't really have a concrete answer to, but it's a good question either way. SpaceX Gamer asking, what is the maximum amount of engines that can be static fired on Pad A simultaneously? Well, the maximum that we've seen so far is 3. And they sort of fire them in a couple milliseconds apart sort of scheme. So they're not necessarily all firing with full intensity all the exact same moment, is my understanding. But we don't know how many engines Pad A can handle maximum. And I do wonder, you can sort of see Pad A and Pad B in this shot. Pad B has the thrust ram installed there for pressure testing ships.
Yep.
But Pad A, you can see between Pad A and the booster, there is sort of that adapter that the booster is sitting on. I do wonder, even though it's not too much, it's maybe 6 feet or so, that extra height, I wonder if that gives them the ability to fire more than 3 at once on that pad, since the engines are further off the ground. But maybe that's not a big factor. But there was a time, Matt, where back in the and forgive me, I'm not sure if you've been following this stuff for super long or what. But there was a time last year, I think, where there was scuttlebutt. There was talk of, oh, they're not going to be able to fire, do many more static fires on Pad A because the concrete under the rocket is just absolutely fried by being blasted by Raptor exhaust over and over and over again. And I'm not sure what they did there to mitigate that, but that seems to clearly no longer be a problem because they flew multiple Starships since then. But I do think there's certainly going to be a limit of a number of Raptors they can fire on Pad A. We don't know that limit yet, but that's a good question there from SpaceX Gamer. I mean, if you want to go engage in any wild speculation, Matt, feel free.
So right now, I just want to take a moment just to appreciate this shot and have some scale appreciation. That little truck up front in the middle,
Yep.
with the booster in the background, and the booster is way further back.
Yep.
It
It's
looks like
big.
a toy. It's like a little toy truck there in the
Hot Wheels
foreground.
toy.
Yeah.
And in that same vein, when we're slightly more zoomed out with this same shot, and you can see the launch tower and the booster, knowing how huge the booster is, it looks tiny next to the launch tower, which just tells you how freaking massive the launch tower is. Which, yeah, we're playing a game of scales here. Which it's cool that we have that little truck there. Every now and then you'll see, obviously, when the pad is not clear, which it is clear right now, but when it's not clear, you can see some people walking around, and that's always a good way to get a sense of scale too. It's just like, oh my gosh, this thing is utterly massive.
Some school buses once. I found some
Yeah.
footage on the beach cam where literally kids from Brownsville go on a field trip. Like, I went to the dinosaur museum, which was awesome, by the way. But they took a field trip out to Starbase, and I had footage off the beach camera of these school buses. Because school buses are huge, right? With big yellow bus. And it looked teeny tiny. It was next to landed SN-15 in the background. They did like a little turn right in front of it. So
You gotta love little opportunities like that for. I mean, so many times with rockets, the cameras are far enough away for safety that having a sense of scale can be hard. I mean, Falcon 9 first stages are what, like a 15-story building or something like that. I mean, they're not tiny. It's insane that they're able to land those, and it's just one of those things where anytime you can sort of get that context, it's extremely useful. So good call there, Matt. Let's see. Princess Jules asking what the name of the intro song is. It is A New Way Out by Dennis. Good luck finding that online. I really should just put up a full version of the song in a video on our channel so people that want to listen to it can. But A New Way Out by Dennis. Super good. I've actually tried to reach out to that artist multiple times and just crickets. I would love to reach out to them and be able to be like, hey, can we get this version and can we get that version? But I digress. We are 15 minutes behind on the super chats, so
I've got them. I've got them up.
Oh,
wait,
perfect.
you have them now? Nice.
Yeah, I've got access.
You want to go through some of them? Go for it. I will
Sure.
take a break and sip some soda here.
Calmly Shield, thank you so much for being a new member here. Jack Carpenter asked, knowing where the right place is, and, well, I guess not asking, knowing the right place is, and when is the right time is a skill all on its own. Props, Jack.
Well, thank you, Jack.
to Tyrannus Cygnus for being a new member here, as well as Fabsy, welcome. Chininator, Chin says hi. Hi,
Hi,
Chin.
That's another one of those names that pops up a lot. What up, Chininator?
Jack Moore says, it's work night at 11 p.m. UK. Late tomorrow, then.
What is this, a Jack meeting? There's like 4 Jacks so far in the super
Did you
chat.
get the memo?
queue.
Jack
Yes.
fight! Jack fight!
A jack fight. Nice.
I would win.
ATL Tom says, hashtag Team Flappy Things. I like that.
I think
Musical
that was-
Wolves.
That was happening in the 24/7 stream. Apparently, there was a Flappy Thing meme that was going around, and everybody caught
Okay.
it. So that's where the Flappy Thing is coming from.
Well, I'm
Love
on
you
board with
24/7.
Flappy Things.
I popped
musical-
into the 24/7 chat earlier, and everyone was like, "Jack, what do you think about the Flappy things?" And I was like, "I have to go."
What did I miss? You just frantically scroll up to try and see what the heck they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Musical Wolves asks, guesses on time from clear to SF for Super Heavy. Static
so,
fire.
yeah, how long between pad clear and static fire? I have no guesses. I'm sorry. I'm not exciting.
Well, you're going to go home empty-handed, Musical Wolves. And I hope that disappointment is not too bitter. Future
Okay,
Martin, thank you
how
for being
about
a
this?
member.
2.5 hours. Let's just go with that. 2.5 hours, just so
Okay.
that they have a guess for their trouble. Thank you, Musical Wolves, for the support.
Keep going?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Charles Shutrick says, here's to hoping for some time to kill for BAD booster after dark.
Nice.
Pebmits. I know it's late in the game, but the more engines they keep adding, I cannot help but think SRBs would not be a bad idea, which is less dangerous, 33 engines or SRBs, which have been enhanced.
I don't like SRBs on crew vehicles. That's me. That's my personal preference. Maybe I'm dumb. But yeah, that would be my response to that is no SRBs on crewed vehicles, please.
Rough Rider Show. How can Jack read this while driving? Will they test S20 and Booster 4 on the suborbit pads before stacking them on the OLP? Well, Jack didn't read this. He heard it.
Also, I'm not driving. I'm in a hotel room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Upsetting.
And then the second part of the question is, yeah, I mean, it would make sense that they would test Booster 4 and Ship 20 before stacking them. That would make sense to me, yeah. I mean, in SpaceX's test facility in Mcgregor, Texas, they test second stages, right? And they definitely test first stages, so.
Oh, we have a good question here. Dean Batha, by the way, thank you for being a new member. Chase Lang asks, how do you manage all the remote camera data needs?
That's a DOS question.
DOS.
Well, let me tell you, I get up early, and I don't go to sleep until I've used a lot of mobile data.
You've got a big shovel, and you shovel data from sunrise to sunset, and yeah.
He just downloads more when he needs it.
I download more data, yeah, when I need it. No, like in all seriousness, we did do the math on it. We have some special tricks behind the scenes. The system's actually really intelligent, and one of the cool things we do is it goes into sleep mode. So if you're watching the 24/7 stream, the Starbase Live cameras we have up all the time, at a certain time, DOS will pop in and say, good handoff, and I'm watching the system go from broadcast quality mode to sleep mode. And we get to watch what the robots dream of at night as the cameras all spool down. There's like a central control server, and it commands all the cameras to spool down to a lower bandwidth mode. Because at night, there's not as much going on, and the sky is black. We don't need a bunch of bitrate to do that, so we spool down to sort of a lower bandwidth mode at night. And then before the sun comes up, the auto control system comes back online and tells all the cameras to wake back up again, and we go back to full broadcast quality on all the robots automatically from central control before the sun comes up, so that you can get the high quality shots of the sun rising, all the colors in the sky, and that sort of stuff. So a big part of saving on data is we're not just being dumb about the type of data that we use, just, oh, I don't know, just make it do that 24/7. The system is actually, it can be smart to help us minimize the data. We also have the ability to turn individual feeds on and off and change bitrate qualities and stuff like that. Like here today, since this is a big event, we've actually boosted the quality on all the cameras. We've bumped it up to a much higher bitrate so that a big event like a static fire, a lot of detail, a lot of motion, plumes of smoke, fire probably from danger cam. Hope we'll have more bitrate to capture more detail in those. Whereas 24/7, a lift, a crane is moving around, you don't need to be broadcasting at 20,000 kilobits per second for that, right? 4K for the crane moving, not really needed there. So just trying to be smart, and we did the math to figure out how it works. What do we mean?
I mean, 4K not needed? When is it not needed, though?
Well, that's the trick, though, right? Because I could make the stream say 4K, but it wouldn't actually be a 4K stream because it's in the field and the camera doesn't really have the bit rate. There's a difference between something saying that it's 4K resolution and actually having the instantaneous bandwidth to support a 4K quality picture. I don't want to lie about it.
Watch a 4K picture on my 1080p monitor.
See? Exactly. The human eye can only see 60. How many hertz can it see? I forget what the joke is.
5 frames a second.
5 frames per second.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're always improving, but we do have a couple intelligent things that we use to manage the data needs. And I will say, one way that we manage the data needs is by paying for it with super chats. So thanks.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a lot. Having seen it firsthand, oh god, it's a lot of data. So thank you everybody for enabling that 24/7 stream. Here's sort of a follow-on question, just really quickly. Sorry, Matt.
Sure.
Sam Adams asking, do we use H.265? Which I think we do, right, Das?
It depends. That's one of the options that we have. 265 is interesting. I won't go into the details on exactly what's good and bad about 265, but certainly that is an option that we have on a lot of our cameras, yes.
Cool.
We are still pretty behind on the super chat, so I'm just going to keep going through them, if that's okay.
Yeah, please. We're 20 minutes behind, and I'll stop interjecting every time there's one that I'll just let you run through them.
Dale Kaufman comments, largest Coors can.
Largest
turn-
cores can.
Does it turn blue though when it gets cold?
But we'll see. Play the planet. Brought everybody marshmallows. Let's toast some, light the fire. Bensis asks, how will Starship protect passengers from radiation? 3mm steel seems awfully thin, and there doesn't seem to be space for a solar shelter unless the crew is way less than 100 people. Thanks for the coverage.
Jack?
I mean, you point the engine compartment towards the source of the radiation, right? And just the sheer bulk of all of the engines and all that metal, I think, is part of the mitigation plan, and all the propellant as well. I think that is part of it. I am not a scientist and I am not an expert on this matter, so feel free to tell me I'm completely wrong in the comments. But the idea, part of the mitigation for radiation for Starship flights to Mars, I think, is just get there fast. Get there fast and don't spend a lot of time on the transit. And if you do that, then you minimize the exposure right there. And then I've also heard a lot of people say it's really not that big of a deal. It's an overblown concern. Obviously, if you're on the trip and a coronal mass ejection occurs and there's a wave of radiation coming your way, that's a bit of a different story. But everything nominal, I don't think it's too big of a deal. But again, I could really be wrong.
Well, one of the interesting things is we don't exactly understand exactly how big of a deal it is. We haven't been there.
Yeah.
How much time have we even spent out of the Van Allen belts? Earth has literally a force shield around it. It's got a magnetic force shield around it that protects us from radiation. The Van Allen belts, and this is, when we went to the moon, the only time we've been out of the Van Allen belts is when we went to the moon. I don't think a shuttle mission even ever approached the Van Allen belts. We'd have a shuttle expert on for that, right? Fact check can hit me on that one. But we don't have a lot of human experience outside the Earth's natural radiation shield. So we've got to get out there living and working in space. We need to go out and hang out at the moon and say, well, here's what happens to a human being who's gotten a year's worth of radiation in cislunar space without that big shield. And we don't have the ground truth on that yet. We can guess. We can send out instruments and sensors. All space truth, thank you. We can send out all the sensors that we want, but we don't know 100% because a very, very small number of human beings have spent a very, very small amount of time outside of our natural shielding that just exists on the Earth. So I think that's one of the important things here, just not going all the way to Mars on the first shot, but let's get out there, let's get around the moon, let's hang out in cislunar orbit, right, the space between the Earth and moon, that sort of stuff, and let's get that information. And I don't think that on the first Starship that goes to Mars, with crew even, it's going to be 100 people. You got an awful lot of room for activities in there, and I don't think you just stuff it with seats like an economy airline and then just ship them to Mars. You're going to have a small crew, you're going to have a lot of equipment, and then you have room for things like radiation shielding and that sort of thing, solar storm shelters, et cetera, because you're not trying to be Ryanair on the first flight to Mars, okay? That's an airline, isn't it? I think it is an airline.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe.
Aren't they famous for crushing tons of people into a little small plane? I don't know. I hope so.
The bathroom, and the safety card is printed on the back of the seat in front of you, not a separate actual card.
Wait, for real?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's been a long time. But I have flown on Ryanair, and it was hilariously cheap and hilariously it's just every single thing they could cut. They cut. It was like £1 to use the bathroom. They didn't serve drinks. There's no Wi-Fi, of course. There's no TVs or anything. It's just, and if you want to read the safety card, just look at your seat back. I don't even think there was tray tables. It was a lot.
They give you a bungee cord to strap your knees to your chest when you sit down.
But you know what? I'll take that over Spirit. Anyways, okay, not talking about specific brands here, but moving right along.
All right, Robbie's 315. Thank you for being a member. Welcome. Dave Wolf asks, do we think that maybe they have an engine in each of the three rings, center, middle, and outer?
I don't think so. I think it's one center and two outer, or sorry, one center and two middle, no outer. But I could be wrong.
Mr. Jelhu says, all hail Michael, download next Spackle Fight, which I assume is about interior renovations.
What?
It's a Spackle Fight.
Spackle Fight?
Spackle Fight.
That's a different live stream. That's like the NASA Spaceflight Home Renovation channel where we just constantly find load-bearing walls and lament about it.
That's what I'm getting out of this. So
I'm imagining like a BattleBots style thing where the robotic cameras are fighting each other with home improvement tools. Anyways.
Yep. Jonas.
Seriously though, next Spaceflight
Spaceflight.
is a great app. Yeah, it's a great app. Michael develops it. If you want to know when things are going to happen in any kind of spaceflight, Next Spaceflight is the app for you. Download Next Spaceflight.
Jonas
it
asks,
really is
can
cool.
Jack do a tongue twister?
Nope.
Oh, jeez. Nope is a valid answer, I think, actually.
Okay.
Another
Moving
news,
along.
there is some grass venting. I know that's not a concrete sign, but it is a sign we usually see before they test. So that is slightly promising.
Excellent.
The grass vent would be on the lower left-hand side. You see Jonas's name right there? Here you go, Jonas. You know you signed up for this. Right above Jonas's name, the little white bar, Super Chat Jonas, you can see some venting coming out of the grass right now. I'm gonna move that camera around a little bit so we can look at that. But that is the grass vent. It doesn't really mean anything. We can't really gain any timing numbers or anything like that from the fact that the grass is venting, but it is a good sign. If the grass never vents, that might be a sign. We certainly don't want them to go back to the pad, but we can't tell you, oh, good, look, T-minus 45 minutes, the grass vent came on. Ask Adrian. He'll tell you.
Yep, it is meaningless. It is completely mostly meaningless. It does mean they're doing something in terms of propellant conditioning in the tank farm, but the first indication that we know from Starships, anyways, is the recondenser. That's something we can actually time stuff off of, but grass vent, no.
Yeah, and I'm going to edit that camera real quick. Let's see if we can't show the grass vent pretty clearly here.
Nice.
There we go. You see just a little bit of vapor. Again, that atmospheric turbulence down there in Texas, you can literally see the energy in the air. That air is like roiling and jumping over itself. Makes it a little bit fuzzy at this range, but there is a little bit of vapor coming out of the grass there. That's why we call it the grass vent.
It's so literal.
It is.
It is.
We like to keep it simple around here. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's rocket engineering.
And the good
Well-
news is this is going to push, as the more this pushes into the window,
Yes.
the cleaner the air is going to get with the sun setting. So I don't know about you, chat. I know we want to see a static fire, but if this pushes towards 6, 7, 8, I'm not going to be complaining personally.
Yeah. The image will definitely clear up a lot as we get later into the later into the evening here.
We all know they're waiting for magic hour.
They should. It'd look fantastic.
I feel like sometimes they actually have.
All right, so when we started, we were 20 minutes behind. Now we're 23. I'm just
That's
going to
how
make
it
this
goes.
my baby now.
That's just how it goes.
It is.
Invisible says, if Starship will go military, we will have Starship troopers. We must be ready for the Klendathu invasion, which I agree, which is why here at NASA Spaceflight, we're doing our part.
You want to know more?
That's why you're here. Gunfox, moving military point to point, supply-wise, sure likely. Personnel, highly unlikely. Rockets are too obvious than a plane.
Compare with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to see it for humanitarian aid too, like disaster areas. If you could, get a bulldozer in there and clear off a flat area, maybe prep a landing pad, and then use a Starship to bring in however many tons of aid. Not the easiest unload in the world, but they could figure it out. We've seen some renderings for things like that. So, personally, I'd love to see peaceful purposes first, but I'm also a realist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if it pays the bills for exploration, that's one way to do it, I suppose. But you're right, peaceful use is good.
To an extent, to an extent. I wish we could just do everything peacefully, but I live in the real world.
Yep.
Reese asks, how would rocket flight between USA and Russia work? And Das, I know we spent about 40 years trying to avoid that.
I think we did. It's the same sort of thing. I mean, I think we're a very long way between now and Starships taking either payloads or people on suborbital trajectories, and there's going to be a lot of discussions that have to occur. I will tell you that I think that humanity is probably... It would restore some of my faith in humanity if you could board the noon rocket from DC to Moscow, and that wasn't going to make us all end up in World War III. You know what I mean? Like, that would show maybe the world has hope. I have faith in people, you know.
David says, thanks for all the great coverage. Let's light this candle. Spot Lizard 03, thank you very much for being a new member, as well as Snake Pliskin. Welcome. I like the reference. Vin Smoke says, still here since Frank and Crane first tried to lift the 8th OLIT section. Glad to have you guys back live so soon.
Good deal. Hey, let me point out something on the camera right now. There's a small war happening in our back channel. Those Raptors aren't centered, but I can see that Michael has centered them in the frame. He was telling me that the camera wasn't centered, and I'm like, well, Michael, the Raptors aren't centered. So I centered it on Starship, and Michael has centered it on the Raptors here. But you can actually see the numbers painted on the sides of the Raptors. Look, I got 62, and I think that's, see, there you go. Now he's undoing the crop.
There's your comparison.
Yeah, that's Starship centered versus the Raptors centered.
So we need like a hashtag team centered and hashtag team uncentered.
Oh God.
I mean, we can do a poll. There's a new poll. There's a new poll feature on YouTube.
Oh no.
This team
One that you
centered.
can't dismiss.
See, the good news is we're a quasi-professional team. So Michael was able to work it out. Even though I went for the accurate Starship centering, he was able to get the centering he was looking for by just adjusting the crop a little bit there. So we all work it out. Nice.
Nicholas Williamson, thank you so much for being a new member. Monty Arnold, do you think at some point they'll install a mass simulator on Booster 3?
Oh, wow. No, I don't think so. We saw here, back before we had Starships, and we just had the back ends of Starships. So basically the fuel tanks, the LOX and the methane tanks, and then the engines on the bottom, and they actually hopped it that way with no nose cone on it, right? We saw them install some mass simulators, 20-something tons worth of steel that they just put on top of the thing, like a huge cube of steel, so that the center of mass would be a little bit different, more like it had a nose cone up there, and to provide something for those Raptors to push against. Since we have not heard plans for any hops
God, what is the poll?
from a booster, oh geez, I don't know.
You know, what happened was I
Team
made a
chat.
poll. I did hashtag Team Raptor Centered and hashtag Team Booster Centered, and I guess the YouTube new feature only had hashtag T and hashtag T for both options. So I made a new poll. The new poll is now up. T is no longer an option, but Team Raptor Centered and Team Booster Centered are now an option. And I can see that I am off to an early lead, Doss.
I've seen
Hey.
F's in chat, but I haven't seen T's in chat before. So.
That's your bug right there. We always have to have one bug in a live stream. The other one occurred before the stream happened, so you can't count that one. So that's our bug. We should be good to go for now.
Can I just say it's absolutely wild to see the number of votes just skyrocketing as like it's already over 1,800 votes. I mean, holy cow, you guys are awesome.
Can we convert some of those into likes for the stream, maybe? Like, can we skyrocket some likes?
Yeah, we got
Every like is
17.
a chance I won't come back.
We've got 17,000 watching. We've got 3.3K likes. So hit that like. Oh, 3.7 now. Thank you, everybody.
Wow. All right. Somebody must have mentioned it out loud, huh?
Yeah, good call.
Gator, thanks for being a new member. Appreciate you. Janine and Carl Barter, hi from Australia, watching as I work.
right.
Chininator, if y'all need someone to move to Starbase to help out Boca Chica Gal, hit me up. I'd love an opportunity to be part of of documenting history. Space Nerd, what is the deal with the stairs being removed and some being added on some of the tower sections after stacking? Going back to yesterday.
I think that's part of the construction method that they're using there. They need the stairs for before it's stacked, but then when they're going to stack them, they remove the stairs because then they're going to have the elevator there. I think that's what that is chalk-upable, if that's even a phrase, too. But I'm not quite sure. That's a good question. Speaking of questions, if you guys have any questions, you don't have to super chat to ask them. Just at NASA Spaceflight in chat, and that will help your question pop up in our software that Michael wrote. Thank you for writing that software, Michael. Let's see. So let's see. Tolly is saying, after SN15 static fire, a few thermal protection tiles broke. Considering the amount of vibration created by 33 super heavy engines, is there a risk of tiles breaking again? Well, I don't know. We can kind of take
Always a
that
risk.
question. We can take that question two ways, though, right? Because the booster, I don't think we expect to have tiles, right?
I don't think so, actually. Yeah. Huh.
Booster is not going to have tiles, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But there still could be a risk of tiles on whatever ship is on top of the booster breaking. But it's one of those things where, like you said, DOS, I bet SpaceX has done the math, and when it comes time to orbit a ship, they will have that taken care of. That's a good question, though. I mean, definitely going to be a significant amount of vibration coming from those 33 or 29 Raptor engines.
Yeah. They definitely, that's why they do the test program. You don't just put together a rocket and ship it. There's a lot of testing that has to happen, and that's why we're seeing a static fire today. Because they're going to do the static fire. They're going to get, they have sensors all over this booster, and that they're going to be recording the data from that sensors, and I would not be surprised if there's not vibration sensors in there to show forces that are acting and resonating throughout the body of the thing when the static fire occurs. SpaceX knows what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Yep. Let's see. Wig Nasty asking if they'll fill the launch tower legs with concrete. I don't think so, but what do I know? I think the weight of the tower itself is going to be plenty.
You know a lot, Jack.
I've been wrong plenty of times. Anne, thank you. Let's see. Anne says, have any of you been there to watch a Starship flight? I have. Mary has, of course. Das, you have not, right?
No, I haven't. Nope.
You've been there a bunch for robots and other
Yeah.
things, but
see, this is the peril of my position, right? Like, I go to Boca Chica when there's no testing happening because that's when you should be upgrading all of your infrastructure. So you don't go out there when they have an active test happening because then I can't get to the robots to upgrade them and work on them. So my unfortunate situation is that I only really should be going out there when nothing's going on because that's when I have access to all the robots.
I
Poor
feel
me.
your pain.
Yeah, right, Michael?
let's
I
see.
am going to stop the poll because I'm assuming that new people coming to the stream are going to be quite confused by it. But for the record, Team Raptor Center taked it with 56%. So, Das, your framing skills need work.
Well, no, you just did it correctly by cropping it and using the feed that you were provided. Well done.
Let's see. Fireworking asking, how often are Martian transfer windows? Is that, what, every 16 months or something like that? 18 months?
I roughly 2 years is what the number I hear, but is it 16 or 18 months? In Kerbal or in real life? That's why I'm confused.
Googling Martian transfer every 26 months
There you go. So a little bit more than 2 years.
is what a quick Google is leading me to believe.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us quickly, we're waiting for the tank farm to come to life. That's why we keep showing these wide shots. We are trying to see when we see vapors from the tank farm. That will be a sign that they've entered the countdown. So keep your eyes out for any sort of venting activity from the tank farm.
How long does it take to grow a tank?
Well, the early tanks. Back when tanks first crawled forth from the primordial goo of Boca Chica, it took a while to build a tank. I'm not actually going to be able to say a number, but it seems like they're getting better at building those tanks. Every day you see new ring sections. You see these massive rolls of stainless steel. I'll tell you, I was driving down to Starbase, and I was coming from Corpus Christi. I was born and bred up in Corpus, right? And I was driving down the interstate, and I saw a truck, big flatbed truck, and it had a huge roll on it. And I'm like, I know where that's going, all the way to Starbase. So you can tell some of the raw materials that are going in there because they are really banging out. I mean, in some cases, quite literally banging out the rings and sections and starships and flipping domes and all sorts of stuff. Remember, part of the program is not just learning to fly starships or designing a starship that can fly. Part of the program for SpaceX is learning to build starships. How do you build them? How do you build them reliably? How do you build them quickly? How do you build them in such a way that they can be reused? That's something that nobody's really done before for this sort of aerospace rocket equipment, right? So just learning how to build something at this scale to the speeds that Elon wants if they're going to have fleets of starships colonizing Mars, that's part of what they need to learn here. And even we've seen we've seen them go through and build a dome or build some rings or build a tank and then just throw it out to the scrapyard. All right, good. We learned how to weld that. Get another one. Absolutely.
We got some vending.
Yep. I think even Elon has. There's been Elon tweets where he's saying aiming for a ship every month or something like that, where they want to build one ship a month, one booster a month, or I forget what the exact numbers were there. But yeah, it's like you said, Das, building the machine that builds the machine. That classic Elonism that he's said, and I think he said that in relation to both Tesla and SpaceX's activities there in South Texas, where testing and design are relatively easy, but production is the hard part. Getting a assembly line and conveyor belt of rockets coming out of a factory is extremely difficult. So, very good, very interesting there. Did you say we might have some venting?
No, that's what chat was saying. The grass. I don't know.
Well, we saw the grass venting a little bit, but that doesn't really mean anything. What we're really looking for on the skyline beach view here in the tank farm, we're looking for some venting to come from the tank farm itself. So we know about the grass vent, but what we really want to see here is some venting showing that the tank farm has spooled up. We may also hear this. We're piping in a live microphone that's literally, it's in this shot. It's right across the street from Danger Cam. And we might start to hear the tank farm activate a bunch of noises and stuff like that. I was trying to decide whether I was going to make the noise or not. But we may also hear some signs that the tank farm has come to life. But right now, I'm not really seeing anything in the tank farm that would that would really make me excited about venting.
Are you able to telestrate right now, Das, and sort of draw an arrow to where the recondenser is?
Right now, no.
I'm sorry. I always put you on the spot with that. I should stop doing that.
No. So this it may be tough to do in this stream because we're juggling. We keep the 24/7 stream up. So I'm making sure the 24/7 stream is good while we also do the commentary, while we also manage these cameras, and I don't have that set up right now. That's maybe for a future thing.
Okay, so basically the recondenser, if you guys don't know, if you're relatively new, recondenser is the thing that takes the propellant from the vehicle as it warms up and recondenses it and makes it cold in the appropriate temperature again. And that is one of the items in the tank farm that we are able to sort of gauge fueling progress by. And that's one of the things that Adrian, who we always talk about with his spreadsheets, is able to track. When recondenser starts, we know we're roughly 50, 58, something like that minutes away from a Starship static fire. Who knows if those timings will hold for a Super Heavy, but if you're looking for where that is, you can see that sort of that little truck. Oh, never mind.
Oh, sorry, Jack. I was not paying attention. I apologize.
The little tanker truck that we were talking about earlier, if you look above that and to the right of it, sort of there's those white horizontal tanks and the black vertical tanks. Sort of that leftmost black vertical tank in that region right there. Sort of that's where the recondenser is, and so that is where we are looking for vapor from right now. Go ahead, Michael. Switch your fancy angle.
No, so I'm doing too many things at once, so my bad, but yes, good description on the recondenser, Jack. We'll keep an eye out for that. That is usually first, but not always first. Sometimes the rest of the tank farm spools up first, so we'll keep an eye on it, but either way, whatever spools up first is the sign we're looking for.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say
attempt is to go.
I guess I shouldn't say the recondenser is first, but it's the first thing that we have historically been able to time things off of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like clockwork. Like the recondenser fires up and we're like, up! Now we know where they are. That's a huge deal for us. Unlike the grass vent, which means nothing.
Yeah, I mean, so much so that we have a T-shirt with a testing corridor design that Adrian has put together. So that it's crazy how much we're able to, or were able to track Starship testing at a certain point, and hopefully we get to that point again with boosters.
We literally have a T-shirt that has a spreadsheet and a graph on it. Like,
it's literally the best. It's the best piece of merch that we have, and I practically demanded it in our merch channel. I was like, please make this a thing, and everyone was like, I don't know, but I hear from people that they really like that shirt. So I'm glad that we made it. I'm glad that Adrian is tracking the data, and I know Adrian is tracking today's test as well. So any sort of information that we can glean from today's testing, you better believe it will be spreadsheeted, and Adrian will provide that to us. And breaking news! He says he's wearing his spreadsheet shirt right now, which is hilarious.
Nice.
It's like a band member wearing the shirt of the band they're in. I love it.
I've
Let
worn
me
my own
take-
shirt before.
Oh yeah, I've got some Kerbal Space Academy shirts and stuff. I think it's a legitimate strategy. Plus, if he needs to reference the timings, he can just look down at his shirt and be like, "Oh yeah, 20 minutes. Okay." Makes sense. It's like an extra monitor that only displays one spreadsheet. Bit of a stretch there. Hey, let me do this. Folks, we are standing by to hopefully witness the first static fire of 3 Raptor engines on a super heavy booster. This is the SpaceX Starship program, that big massive rocket they've been putting together down on the beach in South Texas. And right now you can see that's booster 3 on the screen. Down underneath there's 3 Raptor engines installed, and hopefully we see some fire come out of the bottom of those here in just a bit. However, we can't tell you exactly what time that's going to happen. That's what we keep talking about, spreadsheets and venting in the tank farm. We're trying to watch what happens on the screen, but unfortunately SpaceX doesn't publish an exact time. They don't put out a press release that says like, okay, yeah, at 6:42 p.m. Central Time we're going to try a test. SpaceX says, all right, people, sometime between noon and 10 p.m. we may start a test. And that's all the information we get. It literally says, if you hear a police siren, come out of your house so you don't get showered with broken glass. It's an overpressure event, and they recommend for safety reasons you come out of your house in case something happens that breaks windows. But they don't tell us the exact time, and as of right now, we don't have any information for you on the time. I can tell you that it's 5:43 p.m. there. Window goes all the way to 10 p.m., so they still have 4 hours and just over 15 minutes to perform the test. But unfortunately, I cannot tell you that it's going to be in 45 minutes or it's going to be in an hour or anything like that. Maybe what you should do is follow NASA Spaceflight on Twitter, at NASA Spaceflight, because Chris B., who runs that account, he's the founder of NASA Spaceflight, he'll give periodic updates. And if we start to see some venting or we start to see ice freezing onto the side of the fuel tanks, I guarantee you there will be Bandicam, like flames coming out the side of Bandicam as he puts together little video clips and lets you know. So at NASA Spaceflight on Twitter is where you want to be if you can't sit around and run this. Of course, you could just put this up on your TV in the living room and subject the entire house to our commentary. You may not be allowed back in your own house, but, you know, what you going to do?
Should we do some more chats?
I think so, yeah. There's no way we're going to keep up with all of them. Like, it's impossible, but we don't want the entire stream just to be reading super chats, but we do appreciate you. Let's grab a couple more of those and see if some questions come out of there.
Okay, Darian Craig says, speaking of SRBs and crew, did the Buran shuttle avoid any of the fatal issues with shuttle, especially heat shields?
Heat shields? Well,
It was still side mounted on the stack, right? So that's got to be a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the interesting thing is Buran didn't really go anywhere.
Or do anything.
Yeah, so they didn't really get a lot of actual test data out of it. Were the Russian engineers trying to learn or glean anything from the shuttle program? I'm sure, right? I mean, I think the entire design was gleaned from the United States shuttle program. But in terms of any details on that, I haven't heard anything specifically. Not sure, but I can tell you, I know that the SpaceX engineers who are working on the heat tiles for Starship have definitely taken a lot of education from NASA folks. Folks that worked on the shuttle program dealing with tiles there, and all the lessons learned with ceramic tiles on the sides of ships that go to space, and how do you seal them, and how do you replace them, and what are some pitfalls and stuff. We've definitely seen some improvements on Starship in terms of that. Maybe the biggest one being most of the tiles are the same. Hexagons for days, instead of having so many very specific shapes and, you know, tile 1834765, it goes in position, whatever. The majority down the side of Starship of the tiles are that same hexagonal shape. So an improvement already, just making sure you don't have as many little artisanal boutique pieces. You have a bunch of interchangeable hexagons instead of, you know, this one tile that only fits in one place on the complicated bottom of the shuttle. How's that? I turned it back around to Starship.
Yeah.
I think even with shuttle, each individual orbiter had special tile. Like you couldn't swap tile from Discovery to Atlantis. Like each individual orbiter had oh my god. Anyways,
a lot.
And really quick, I know we're trying to do this fast, but I will fight anybody that says Buran is better than shuttle. It was not. It is demonstrably worse. Go look at the farewell dossier. Farewell dossier, CIA.gov. Bye.
Boom.
Did you just reference CIA.gov on a live stream?
Yes, the farewell dossier is crazy. We fed Russia known bad designs in order to mess them up. It's like reverse technical espionage, and one of the known bad designs we fed them was used on Buran, at least according to a former NASA administrator. Anyways, CIA.gov, farewell dossier.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, a
Somebody,
little bit of tinfoil for your hat there.
let's keep on going with some of the super chats there, Matt.
Gonna say hello to some new members. Martian Brotherhood, hello. Thank you so much for joining. John Dopker. I'm gonna say it wrong, but thank you so much again for becoming a member. Doc Watson as well. Appreciate you. Game Cage 2001. There we go. I messed it up, but I still like you. Jason Dulong, thank you for becoming a member. And Yorkshire Phaser as well. Welcome and thank you. Going back to the little notes here, Civilian Space says, thanks, Crispy, for appearing on the podcast. Gudjun Bjornsson says, little help with the stream, sitting in my tent on a camping trip, watching the stream here from South Norway, just after midnight, when light. No commentary. Are you guys sure there's going to be a static fire? No.
Well,
Probably.
no, we can't guarantee, but we know that SpaceX is moving towards a static fire. The road's closed. The tank farm is clear. The pad is clear. We know that they are setting up. Oh, look at that. Oh, my
Hey.
handwriting. What is that? What happened here?
It's hard to write with a mouse, I must say.
When tablet.
That's
Did Ma-
actually floating in the air in Boca Chica.
Yes.
Mary got an alert notice too, right, Das?
Yeah, Mary got an alert notice as well that said between noon and 10 p.m. they were going to be trying to do a test today. And when she gets that specific type of alert notice, it usually means they're going to try to light an engine. A cryo test, they won't do an alert notice that warns about an overpressure. Anytime they're dealing with fire, they'll put out a specific notice on a specific type of piece of paper with information in it that has that overpressure warning, and that's an indication that SpaceX is interested in lighting a candle today. So can we guarantee it's going to happen? Absolutely not. I can't even guarantee the sun's going to come up tomorrow, much less whether or not SpaceX is going to static fire today. But we'll be here. We're watching, and I feel like we're hearing some more sounds from the tank farm there.
Yeah, it's starting to get venti.
And that is the approximate area of the condenser. We can't actually see the condenser from this angle, but that's the general area that we're going to be looking at to see that venting start.
Good deal.
Let's see, Sergey, thank you for the super chat. Eider, thank you for the super chat there, for the support. Logan, thank you for the support there. What happens if B3 blows? Will they need to test B4 and B5 for the first orbital flight? Yeah, I think they're still going to, even if B3 doesn't blow, I think they'll still test B4 and B5. But if it does, something bad does happen to B3, I mean, we've seen test anomalies occur in the past. They clean up the pieces and keep on keeping on. Invisible Kinkaju, thank you for the support. Let's see, we were talking about radiation earlier. Move around at maximum speed, don't go through the maximum flux zone. Yep, that makes sense. Darga, Carol, thank you for the support. Talking about Ryanair, saying they should buy a fleet of Starships. I mean, that's not completely out of the realm of possibility, hopefully, in the next 10, 20 years. I don't know. Hopefully what we're seeing is...
We should buy Starships, or the airline should buy Starships?
I thought they meant Ryanair should buy Starships.
Okay.
I mean, ideally, we get Starship point to point, and that's a thing. I mean, sign me up. Although I know how you feel about that, Das.
You know.
John, thank you for the support. Saying his daughter Victoria would like to know why they're using 30 small engines instead of just a few big ones like Saturn V. Well, they are still fairly big, and they produce a lot of thrust. I think part of it is it's harder to make a bigger engine than it is a smaller one, right? Like, I remember the F1 engines on Saturn V had a bunch of problems with flow instability, and also if you lose an engine out of 30, it's sort of a less big of a deal than if you lose one of 4 or one of 2. Does anyone else have any input they want to throw in there?
Yeah, it depends on how small the engine is, because if you make it real tiny, that's pretty hard.
Have you ever tried to make a like crude ship in Kerbal with just electric engines? It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be there's some economies of smaller scale, I guess. That's not really the right way to say that. But once you get to a certain point, the engine gets a little bit more complicated to make and make power out of. So there's sort of a sweet spot based on your application. And I think what they're doing with the Raptors is they're sort of trying to go for that sweet spot. I also know that they want a lot of commonality. So you don't want, oh, this type of Raptor on the bottom, and then a different type of Raptor, and then a different engine, a completely different thing on the top, and then the fourth stage is going to be completely, totally different. So they're trying to design an engine that sort of fits all their needs for Starship. And we know there's a couple variants of Raptor. So we know there's like the Big Bell Raptor, the vacuum optimized Raptor, and you have the sea level Raptor, right? But that's not a totally, completely green grass, different engine design. That's a lot of it's the same. And they make some tweaks to optimize it to be more efficient in space, where there's a vacuum, there's no air, and a different type to be more efficient down where there's atmosphere around. So I think they're sort of splitting the difference here, the size of the engine, the mass of the components, how you can use it in more than one way in more than one place. Everybody likes to say, oh yeah, engine out, engine out. Certain phases of flight, the Starship might be able to, or Starship or Super Heavy, might be able to actually lose an engine, like an engine flames out, and as long as it's in a nice controlled manner, it may be able to keep on going with the mission, right?
Yeah, Falcon 9 can already do that.
Yeah. So there are a lot of different considerations that you take into account when choosing this, but I think that they're looking for that sweet spot. They don't want one big massive Sea Dragon engine underneath it or anything like that, but they don't want a bunch of teeny tiny Rocket Lab engines. Like, that wouldn't work very well. So they're shooting for the sweet spot.
Yeah, I mean, that commonality thing, it really makes a lot of sense because there are rockets that have a completely different set of propellants and engines for the second stage. And that is not what we want here. We want everything to be as common as possible for economies of scale and for simplicity and for weight savings and all of that. So there's a lot of follow-on effects that occur there. And in that case, you don't want a giant engine on the second stage that is way oversized for it or what have you. So very, very good thinking there.
Yeah. And I'm still listening. Michael, what level are we at there? Are we at nominal audio level, or did I mess that up?
I think I can turn it up more if we want. We just have to balance the wind noise versus the actual exciting noise. I'm not hearing, on my preview, I'm not hearing much ambient noise to the pad right now, but I can try turning it up more. I'm going to try turning it up more, and we'll see if chat complains, because it is kind of quiet right now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, because we have to boost that mic a certain way, and if I clicked on it wrong, I may have removed the boost and it would be too quiet. But
everybody says okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's good. I hear the ambient
at 3 decibels. So if chat, let us know if it still sounds good, if you can hear it clearly. If it needs to be louder or quieter, I can change that.
Questions really quick. Thomas Ryman asking, how do they get one of those alert notices? It's a little bit tricky. You have to live in Boca Chica Village, which at this point not a lot of people do, but Mary does, and so she gets those notices. DJ Plath asking, has Mcgregor ever tested a Raptor vac? Yes, they have. They have tested at least 2, I think. It was what we've seen from Gary's aerial photos on the forum, which if you don't know, there is a member of the NASA Spaceflight Forum named Gary who does flyovers of the Mcgregor facility and provides those amazing images to the forum. So check those out. If you're curious what's going on in Mcgregor, that's probably the best resource out there. And TJ Moore asking, isn't B3 basically the same as S20, but with bigger tanks? No, it's very different. I mean, the tanks are bigger, but the plumbing involved and the aft dome, aka thrust puck, whatever you want to call it, the part where all the engines attach, is very different, and presumably the plumbing associated with that is very different. That said, it wouldn't shock me if they basically ran a Starship fueling and countdown for this. You know, loaded a Starship amount of fuel, or a Starship static fire amount of fuel, and conducted it in that way, because there are 3 engines. That is what they did with Starship, was fire 3 engines for their static fires. At least they got to that point. So interesting question, but no, I would say B3 is significantly different. I'm going to run through a couple more super chats if there's no objections.
Have Matt do it.
Matt,
put him to work. Put him to work.
Whip crack, horse money.
Whip crack, horse winning.
Let's see. Jim says, has there been any discussion about using the Boring Company to help with construction on Mars? I would think building underground would be a lot cheaper than above ground. I think subterranean is probably an idea they're exploring. I don't know if they're doing it with the Boring Company.
Yeah, haven't heard anything specific about that, but they may not just not be there yet, right?
Seems like a
Certainly,
no-brainer.
yeah, they could learn some things in underground boring and utilize that on Mars. I don't see why not.
Wouldn't shock me.
Chris, thanks for the support. Ethanet says, would Super Heavy have to be fueled before stacking Starship to prevent something like SN3 happening? What are the safety implications if yes?
I think pressurized, yes. Fueled, no.
Let's see. Steven says, are we going to have to keep a poll to see if we keep Baron? No.
Oh wow,
No.
what is it? It's like an episode of Big Boca Chica all of a sudden.
I don't
We
want it.
vote him. We vote him off the sandbar or something.
I'll give you cookies. Your MJK. Here's something for 4K gear upgrades. What do you think will be the next big milestone after a successful first orbital hop?
First operational mission.
Another orbital hop that actually
Yeah.
goes to orbit for some
That-
sustained amount of time.
That too. Good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, that could certainly be some sort of mission, like they could send a Cybertruck up or something like that, right?
Starlinks.
But yeah, Starlinks, they could put some Starlinks up. I think that this next test, that's not next test, but this suborbital hop, or this orbital hop, the orbital flight test they've been talking about, that's going to be good, but that's not a Starship in orbit for like 5 days or anything like that. And they're going to have to get into testing, sending a Starship up, leaving it in orbit, putting solar panels on it, getting power positive, being able to control it for a couple days' time, and then bring it down in a controlled manner. And that may not come back down to the landing pad. It may not come down to Boca Chica. It may also target the Pacific Ocean again, just installing a new stainless steel reef or whatever. I think that's definitely not going to be the end-all be-all, and that is a very, very first step towards trying to make the Starship program a reality. That orbital hop is just the first step. Lots more test to stream.
I could even see them doing, like an orbit that was had a really high apogee, so that when they come back in, they have a lot of energy, so they can really stress test the heat shield. Something like that too might be on the cards. Who knows?
Yeah.
Universal, thank you for the support. Appreciate you. R4, thank you very much for becoming a new member. Jack asks, is it possible to one day see multiple production facilities if they can nail the production right? SS from BC to KSC is a logistical nightmare.
Yes.
Interesting.
Answer is
Interesting
definitely
there.
yes. I
Yeah.
could see them build a Starship in more than one place.
Yeah, I think once
Okay.
they get it down, they could certainly build it in more than one place. But I have to say, you said Starship from Boca Chica to KSC is a logistical nightmare. Well, it's just going to hop itself. It's super easy. They build it, they put it on the pad, and they just fly it to KSC and land it there. Starship.
You joke, Das, but honestly, what do you think is a bigger hurdle? Getting Highway 4 fully buttoned up and nice and because you've driven on Highway 4. There's like a 12-mile stretch there between the launch site and the port connector road, which they could, in theory, use. But that huge 12 or 18-mile or whatever it is stretch of Highway 4 is not in the shape that you could transport a self-propelled modular transporter down that thing with a super heavy or a star. I don't think that's, there's going to be a lot of work. So what's more work, fixing up 18 miles of Highway 4 or the logistical nightmare of hopping a ship to KSC? I don't know.
I think the biggest logistical nightmare is going to be 120 tons of stainless steel coming in hot over Universal Orlando. That's going to be the trick there.
Well,
So,
what if they go retrograde and then it comes in over the Atlantic? Okay, I'll stop.
It's going to do a dog leg. Like it's going to go past the Keys down south and then dog leg up to the Cape. Starship's crazy, y'all. All sorts of ideas. We'll see what pans out.
Very serious question here from James. Asks, what's the giant Pringles can for? Love you guys. The answer to that is so many people complained about not being able to fit their hand inside of the Pringles can that Elon said, I got you.
I was just going to say it's for Pringles, duh.
Uh-huh.
Now, somebody calculate how many Pringles you could put inside of a Starship. I'm not doing the math, but
They will calculate it. They will.
volume of a cylinder, volume of a Pringles can, do the math. If you're super complicated, figure out the wasted space in between cylinders. Then take the chips out of the Pringle can and just crush them up and put them into the Starship. Like,
Dean has
STEM project.
Dean has a couple questions here about the environmental study. Is it true that they didn't get the environmental study before building a tower, and the FAA says that the tower has to be torn down? No, I don't think that they have to tear it down.
Did you click on it? Did you
What?
click on that news article?
I
I think no.
Me? Or Dean?
No, everyone, the class. I'm asking everyone if they clicked on that news article. Remember, that letter that was cited was months old. This was sort of a much ado about nothing. Certainly, SpaceX is continuing to proceed. You'll also note in the letter, the FAA didn't say, stop work, halt everything until this is done. They did say SpaceX was proceeding at their own risk, but they did not say, stop everything.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to get figured out. I think it was the FAA saying, you know something, there's process, there's procedure. Maybe we need to update our process and procedure to keep up with you, Elon. But I think it was the FAA reminding people back months ago when they first sent that, there is still a process and a procedure that needs to be followed. You can't just say, I'm saving the universe by building Starship, and then just ignore all the rules. But I think it's a matter of paperwork. I think it's a matter of SpaceX dotting the T's and crossing the I's, and they might get sort of looked at like a disappointed father, but in the end, I don't think that tower is coming down. We'll see.
It was the FAA just started going, you may need to make changes to it because you're jumping the gun a little bit.
Right. I think the FUD factory or the clickbait factory kind of got out of control on that one. And
Yeah.
I don't think anywhere they said it needs to be torn down. They just kind of said, hey, this might complicate your environmental review, or you might need to make some changes, but just heads up, maybe something, that's a far cry from you need to tear this down, which obviously they didn't say. But
compounded, right? Made a little bit worse by the fact that the FAA is a favorite punching bag. Government organization, been around forever. SpaceX is new and hip and moves fast and breaks things and stuff. So we're gonna have to land somewhere in the middle between the two. But I know that people like to give the FAA some grief. I don't give the FAA that much grief. I mean, I don't think they're in the wrong for telling SpaceX, hey, we got to make sure this paperwork's good. I don't think that the FAA has significantly delayed the Starship program. They didn't come in here and say, shut everything down for 9 months. You know what I mean? I think that the FAA is a little bit of a whipping boy, I guess. Yeah, you know what I mean. Just like an easy somebody to bag on a little bit because they just have the government agency thing going against them. But I don't think that the negative impact of a couple little delays from the FAA is really the impact that people want to make it out to be. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but I want it to be done safely. I want the FAA to also evolve. I want to see Starship fly, and I hope that everybody comes to the table and works together to make it happen,
Yep, I couldn't have said that better myself, and I don't think any of us wants to see the FAA just rubber stamp things, because that's how you get the 737 MAX. Anyways.
Rockwell points out that we're on the eve of the 52nd anniversary of Apollo 11 moon landing. Godspeed, B3.
It's the lens.
Kathy says, making another drink and settling in. You and SpaceX are the best entertainment going. Great job, team. Mary needs a t-shirt design.
T-shirt design? Well, I know that every now and then a box just shows up at Mary's house, and she's like, what am I going to do with another 20 t-shirts? I don't know. I think what you mean there.
Shirt, though.
Yeah, like a specific Mary shirt. That's something to think about. Lots of cool t-shirt design ideas. Huh. I'll put that over in the store and see what they think.
No C says, shout out to Felix's Space Time and great interview with Das. Leslie, thank you very much for becoming a member.
Let me jump back real quick. I know a lot of people are super interested in our robotic cameras. And Felix Spacetime is a young person over in the UK who does his own sort of space podcast and interviews some space people, right? And I'm very edge of a space person there. I mean, I think he interviewed Tori Bruno after me, so that's a little bit of a scale to stay within. But he did an interview with me while I was out at Starbase working on our robots. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the behind the scenes of how the robots work, no secrets or anything. I'm not going to tell you how to solve the icing problem, but you could head over to Felix's video. I'll get a link to that and put it in chat so y'all can check it out. It's some cool information, and he was a cool kid to talk to. So good, thank you for the super chat there.
Yeah, he's asked me to do an interview multiple times and just hasn't worked out yet, but I definitely want to because he rules.
Mark Davidson. Hashtag 1Orbit equals 2021.
Mark got a
All right.
fancy pronunciation of his name. He got the extra spice on there.
Nick Salve, what are those towers around the launch pad? What are they? If only we had some sort of visual that could identify the towers.
No, there's no towers. It's a running joke, Matt, about at the other launch sites that we commonly stream from, there are lightning mitigation towers that, but it's basically giant lightning rods. And on every single one of those streams, somebody asks, "What are the towers? What are the towers?" And it's gotten to the point where people know that we kind of roll our eyes when we're asked that, and so now people ask that even more. So
I thought they were
kinda-
talking about the tanks and the hover lettering that we had above there earlier, the telestrator. I've got no sense of history.
Yeah, well, you'll catch on quick. You're
I'll
a smart
learn the
kid.
memes.
Yeah.
Jack, there are no bad questions for new people. We do not roll our eyes. Come on.
Okay, that's fair, but
That is true.
okay, we don't roll our eyes at the question when it's posed genuinely. I think at least when someone asks in a joking manner, I'm like, oh geez, they're asking about the towers. It's like, it's just like a joke. But when someone's asking in earnest, no, that's not a bad question. You're right. Good to clarify.
Correct.
Yes.
I agree. Concur.
Send in
What-
your questions, folk. We don't make fun of questions. Every now and then we have like a funny meme or a joke or something about a question, and that is sort of a joking question that's memed around here a little bit. But please don't hesitate to put your questions, and we can't get to all of them for sure. But no such thing as a silly question. If you're interested in space, you're interested in Starship, you want to learn about what's going on, we will try our best to talk nonstop for 5 hours while we wait for a little fire to come out the back of this thing.
Next time the towers are on, I'm going to ask about it, right?
It's true.
As you should.
Incessantly.
But speaking of questions here, don't forget to @NASA Spaceflight, and we will see your questions and potentially answer them. Here's one.
There are a few, yeah.
Here's one. Are they using the old tank farm, the suborbital tank farm, or the new ground support equipment, which is the new orbital tank farm? They're using the suborbital one, same one they used for all the Starship testing previously. I do not think the orbital tank farm is ready to go even close. Let's see. Is the FAA in charge of all orbital launches on the globe? Like we have a World Ship Rescue Center in Norway that covers the world? No, FAA is just in charge of U.S. companies, right? Isn't that how that works, guys?
So here's the deal. This is something that everybody likes to say, so I'll address it. I'm not scared of addressing things like this. Elon's just going to go to a different country and launch his rockets from there. We'll never guess where SpaceX gets an awful lot of business from. NASA. If you run off to an oil rig or another country and you think that you're going to just thumb your nose at the FAA, that's not going to happen. Because SpaceX works with NASA, I don't see that changing anytime soon. And you're not going to thumb your nose at the FAA and expect that you're still going to continue to launch NASA missions, or Department of Defense missions, or missions for other American companies. So I know people like this because it's sort of a stick it to the man thing, right? Oh, he's got an oil rig and he's going to go out in the Gulf and nobody can tell him he can't launch. There's a lot back home with SpaceX. SpaceX is an American company. They do a ton of work for NASA, and also Gwyn Shotwell's around. I do not think that SpaceX would just drive across the border to Mexico and launch a Starship. Don't foresee
It's
that
not-
happening.
That's
And
just not how
also-
it works. Like, Rocket Lab, for example, has a
Yep.
launch site in New Zealand, but they
Yep.
are a U.S. company, and so are under the jurisdiction of the FAA. And so, like you said, SpaceX is a U.S. company, therefore under the jurisdiction of the FAA, regardless where on the globe they launch.
Yeah. So I know people like that because they want to root for Elon and they want to stick it to the man. But you got to realize this isn't just we're going to take our ball and play elsewhere, because most of the play that SpaceX gets is with NASA and U.S. missions and Department of Defense and all that sort of stuff. And that's not happening. I'm not scared to say that out loud. Certainly, 20 years in the future, maybe Elon owns an island somewhere and it's a different situation because he owns 100,000 starships or something. But right now, NASA and SpaceX work together. You're not going to see SpaceX say, forget you, U.S. government. Oh, oops, sorry, NASA, you're involved with that? That's not a thing, y'all. So I don't mind saying that out loud.
Here's a good question. Why aren't there lightning towers?
I had a tweet for that. There is a lightning tower there. It's shaped
very
like a
large
booster.
and silver.
Why
yes.
aren't there more?
It's we've actually got some footage, a tweet the other day of lightning. It really did look like lightning struck either SN15 or SN16 over from our river cam angle, and I had tweeted that out a couple days ago. I can maybe find that tweet, but they can handle it, I guess, is the headline, right? So SpaceX has designed them in such a way. Certainly, they know that it's a possibility that they may get struck by lightning, and it's something that SpaceX has thought about. Does that mean there would be zero impact at all? They certainly go and check it all again, right? But it's something that SpaceX has thought about, and they just have the booster sitting there. They also have the big tower off the side. We don't see the big tower right now, but that orbital launch tower is even taller. And the craziest thing is, we've got footage off of the cameras of a lightning bolt hitting the ground, not choosing the booster, not choosing the massive tower, but hitting the ground somewhere behind them. And look, lightning, how does it work? I don't know that I can predict exactly where lightning will strike, but it's got to be something SpaceX has thought about, you know?
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm trying to make a joke here. Let's see. You know how people always say the orbital launch site doesn't need a flame diverter because there's no flame diverter on Mars? But they don't have lightning towers because there's no lightning towers. There's going to be no lightning towers on Mars. So I butchered that. Anyways.
I wonder how much lightning there is on Mars.
Yeah, that was the joke. Anyways.
Here, I got you. There you go, Jack.
Yeah,
Moving
thank
along.
you. Yeah, much needed. Martin saying, can you please talk about the Raptors being lower placed and showing? The Raptors are placed lower and they are showing. Does anyone else have anything to add there?
Good job.
I mean, it's different. The way that the booster is laid out is different than Starship. That's why it has to have that sort of adapter between it and Pad A, which we didn't see on Starship. But yeah, that's just down to how the booster is constructed. It does not have an aft skirt that covers up those Raptor engines.
They wanted to flex the muscles a little bit.
I mean, for one, I'm glad for it because we get to see so much more detail in terms of what the Raptors are doing. The other day, when they were doing a cryo test, we could see a little vent off the side of one of the Raptor nozzles just blasting out condensation. It was just or gaseous whatever. I assume liquid nitrogen. But yeah, it's really cool that the booster is different in this way. Looks like we have a pip going on
Look at
here
Michael.
of the roadblock. That's the roadblock.
Booster's getting arrested.
Pulled over.
Do you know how fast you were going? Mach 24.
Or zero. It's more likely that it didn't have the right paperwork. Like
There
it's
you
not registered. Do you have a license? Yeah. Michael, what are we looking at? Is there changes there, or are we just checking out the roadblock?
No, just the longer this goes on without venting, the higher the probability it is that they are working issues. Of course, we don't know that they're working issues, but the longer it takes for the countdown to start, the more of the odds they are working issues increases. So if they are working an issue that requires them to return to the pad, we will see that happen first on that camera pointed at the roadblock, because obviously they will move the roadblock so some cars can pass. So we put that up on the screen a bit so we can keep an eye on that. I won't have it on permanently, but we'll keep an eye on the roadblock as well as we wait to see what's going to happen here.
If they do go to the pad, it's not the end of the world, right? Because we've seen them go to the pad, work a thing, and then come back and get all that done within the test window before. That's not a big deal. And thank you. I was just about to ask what the window was today, and oh, look at this photo. This is one of my favorite photos I've ever taken. Oh, Starhopper. Anyways, window. Looks like it goes till 10 p.m. local tonight. So they have what? Another 4 hours or so? 3 hours?
3 hours, 45 minutes. Yeah, it's 6:15 local time, Central Daylight Time there, going until 10, so they've got 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Excellent. Really
Good
quickly, let's see. Emily asking, when they are testing Booster 4, could they static fire all engines without the booster lifting off? I don't think we know, but if they're static firing on the orbital launch pad, something tells me the hold downs on that pad will be robust enough to hold down the booster. But then again, it probably wouldn't have a Starship on top, so maybe we would see a mass simulator in that case? Question mark? I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think we'll ever get to a point where they do a full-up booster static fire? Maybe when the orbital launch pad is done?
Ooh. A full-up static fire on the orbital launch platform?
I mean, my gut says yes, but I honestly, who knows? Maybe that's not a good idea for various reasons. No flame diverter.
Yeah, so the reason I sort of like about that is you see these big test stands, right? I know people love to say, oh, NASA built this big, massive test stand, and yet in SpaceX just lights it in a field. Well, that's because NASA can do a full duration burn on 4 RS-25s, and all of the energy gets handled correctly and distributed out so they can do the full duration burns. In here, going fast on the beach, SpaceX hasn't built any of that energy management, any like a flame redirector to make sure that the energy of the engines isn't bouncing back up and hitting them. Because that's a massive concern. You see the Rainbirds, like the shuttle taking off, and you see this water start to spray under. Some other rockets do that as well. Managing the reflective energy of a rocket launch is super important. If you just light your engines pointed at a flat piece of ground, the energy has to go somewhere. It's not all going to neatly go out to the side. A significant portion is going to bounce off the ground and come right back at you. And the engines put out so much power that you can actually destroy parts of the engines by reflecting that energy back at them. So we have all sorts of mitigation tactics there. Pieces of concrete that deflect it off to the side, throwing water like Rainbirds or some sort of water deluge system it's called, where you actually put water in there and you suck energy out of, literally out of the fire because it has to flash that water to steam, helps dampen out some of the energy reflecting as well. And we don't have a lot of that energy mitigation even on the orbital pad. Biggest we've seen really is lifting it up higher. So just getting further away from the ground so the energy can spread out some more before it hits the ground and reflects back up. And I'm sure they're going to have deluge systems and stuff like that as well. So could you do a full duration burn on a full complement of Raptors on that pad? I don't think you could do full duration. Maybe a static fire. Like
That's
a 3
kinda
second, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is not full duration, but maybe
Yeah.
all of the engines, but not full duration, and maybe even staggered by a couple hundred milliseconds apiece or something like that. But I don't think full duration. I think a full duration static fire of the booster is the equivalent of that they're going to do is literally just fly the booster.
Yeah, it's important because one of the biggest problems with a big multi-engine rocket is getting all the engines to light at the same time and making sure they're all stable before you take off, right? The Russians had a problem with that on the massive rocket that they made. That big N1, it didn't go so well, and there were problems with engines. So if you certainly being able to light up all the engines at the same time in static fire configuration for a few seconds, maybe that's going to be something they need to make sure they can do. On the flip side, sort of my opinion on that, and this is my opinion, I think that some of our systems and controls, our electronics, how quickly sensors work, how quickly computers can make decisions, we may be a little bit better off than when the Russians tried their big rocket. And so it might be that you could just go for launch.
Sorry, Doss. Look at that.
That's okay. That's
Speaking of-
there's
Very exciting.
computers
We
are
get it,
fast.
you
Maybe that's
vape.
okay. Yeah.
Also, they couldn't test the engines on the N1. They could batch test them, but they couldn't actually test the individual engines.
Yeah. So we'll see on that. That's up to SpaceX. But you see there behind the 3 tanks, there's a little bit of vapor coming out. You'll see little wisps happening. That is the area of what we call the recondenser. We never actually confirmed with SpaceX that's exactly what it is, but that's what we call it.
It is what it
Oh,
is. I have worked on getting that right.
Okay, that is the recondenser. So you can see some plumes of vapor there. That is an indication. This is a good indication that SpaceX is preparing that tank farm to start putting those cryogenic fuels, liquid oxygen, liquid methane into Booster 3. Well, you got to fuel it before you can light the engines. So this is what we've been waiting to see. Who's excited?
I'm excited. Woo! Future history.
I'm just kidding. I'm hyped.
Yeah, here we go again. You can see from that angle some vapor happening in the middle of those tanks. That should get more and more valves should open up. So what they're like, literally, think about this picture right here. The cryogenic fuel, the liquid oxygen, super cold methane is in the tanks over on the right-hand side. Don't ask me which ones. But it's in those tanks. And what they need to do is start moving it over to the booster. So you're going to see some venting start to move in that direction. And at some point, we're going to start to see some venting happening at the bottom of the booster itself. If you watch really closely, sometimes you can see the progression of those super cold liquids going from the tank farm over to the booster. Not because you can see the liquid itself, but because you can see evidence that something there is really cold. So now is the time that we really like this angle. We can watch from the side and see as SpaceX continues to hopefully push towards what may be the historic first static fire of a, well, I don't want to say full up because it doesn't have all the engines, but a full-sized super heavy booster. We'll see. Can't tell you the exact time, but we're going to keep watching more and more vapors. Go ahead.
Although we do have an estimate, which I'm not comfortable sharing at this moment from Adrian, but Adrian is tracking this. And like I said earlier, recondenser is one of those things where back in the Starship testing days, it was a very good indicator of how things were going to go timing-wise. So if the previous countdown holds, we have an indication of when it would be, but I don't think we should necessarily broadcast that time because this is a completely new vehicle, a completely new test, so who knows exactly how it'll go, but maybe we'll put it in a sealed envelope and open up that envelope and see if Adrian was right, if and when we get a fire.
Yeah, but it is a good sign. That's what we want to see. Go ahead, Matt.
In terms of fuel, would they top it up or would they just partial put it in there?
Yeah, we think they're just going to put a little bit in it, not fill the entire thing up. We're not even sure. Somebody at SpaceX probably chuckles when we say this. We're not even sure this little teeny tiny tank farm is big enough to fill up a booster. There may not be enough volume there.
Just look at the booster compared to the tanks. I mean, I think there's no way this tank farm has enough volume to fill the booster. And even if it did, Matt, we saw with Starships, they would sort of minimally fuel them with the minimum amount of fuel that they would need to do the static fire. And the only time they ever really fully fueled Starship was when they were going to launch. And I think part of that is a safety consideration, because if you snap your fingers and detonate that much fuel, you have a pretty significant explosion. So if with these kind of tests you want to fill it up only as much as necessary. Good question though.
I feel silly with that question after looking at the tanks after asking it.
No bad
thank
question.
You.
No bad question.
Only bad people.
We've thought about that a lot in just looking at the volumes there. It's just not a thing, especially when you get a shot that shows the size of the orbital tanks that's not even completed yet, and the size of this tank farm. Michael, you mind if I bring that up real quick? Like if I back beach off and show the orbital tank farm in comparison to this wee baby tank farm?
Yes, you don't even have to ask, but thank you for the heads up, and we'll take a look at that. But all I will say is that orbital launch tower is tall.
I had a preset for it. So there, over on the left-hand side, that's the full-up orbital facility. And look at the size of the tanks there. That's not even their final form. They're going to put...
There's going to be more of them, too.
Yeah, they're going to put more tanks over there, and they're going to be too deep. And then look at the size of this little wee baby tank farm over on the right-hand side. So that's the real deal to go to space on the left. On the right-hand side, that's their test facility. That's where they test the engines, do static fires, but not looking like enough to completely fill that booster up. I think that's a pretty confident thing to say.
Yep, and before we cut away, that same truck, the tanker truck that we were using for scale with the booster, is visible in this shot. And it just further gives you a sense of scale. Good call on that, Matt. That is a really cool thing to point out.
I almost feel like we should frame the camera like this for the static fire. It looks so cool.
It's a fantastic shot.
It does look super cool.
You know what I'm going to do, Michael, right? I'm going to put more cameras out there so we can frame them multiple ways.
Hey, if you need someone to carry cameras, you know who to call.
Of course, don't worry, folks. We have many cameras. We will show a tighter shot for the static fire no matter what. But as one of the cameras that might be off air, I think this shot could be cool. But don't worry, we're not going to show this shot live, I promise.
Yeah. We have all sorts of cameras. One of our things is we throw so many cameras at it that if one has a problem while we're live, we just switch to the others. And sometimes you're none the wiser that there's a problem with the camera until it's T-minus 10 seconds and danger cam's not up and we're all have our hair on fire even though no static fire has occurred yet.
Throw
But
cameras at the wall and keep what sticks.
there you go.
Matt, do you want to do some more super chats before we get too far behind here?
Fat Donkey says, for parts with the complicated heat tiles like the flaps, do you think they might just replace the whole part if there's a damaged tile, then send it off to someone to fix it?
I think it depends on the installation method, but I think it's always less work to replace a tile than it is to take off an entire Elanaron or flap or something like that.
Call him that. I hate that name.
You hate that name?
I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. They're
I'm
The
gonna
flat.
call-
patent did already. Sorry.
I'm going to call him that twice.
Wait, say it again.
Elanaron?
Elanaron. Elanaron. All right, got it.
You got it? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Jack, you can call him Flaps.
Thanks.
Jack is going to, go throw up now. Go ahead.
Axie says, go Internet Route! Wait, wrong rocket. Go Starship! Wait, no. Go Super Heavy, go!
There you go. More memes. Thanks, Axie. We appreciate you.
G Forbes joining late. Are there 3 Raptors on this test article? Yes, there are 3 Raptors on this.
Yes, you can see right there.
Looks like
2
they're
engine
not
bells.
connected yet.
Yeah, 2 engine bells really obvious. You can actually see the stenciled numbers on the side. And the 3rd engine bell is right there in the middle. You see the big V-shaped adapter. And then just to the bottom right of that, you can see the side of another engine bell sort of blocking that. I think it's 62, isn't it? I should probably, can we type that out so I get it right the next time? I think it's 57 and
57,
62.
59, and 62, and I think 59 is partially obscured.
Yeah, that's the one we can't see. So this is a really interesting shot as well, apart from the 3 Raptors underneath. The pad that the booster is on is actually the Starship suborbital test pad. It's test pad A for Starship, but they had to install an adapter so that you could put a Super Heavy on the top of it. And I think it has to do with the number of hard points, like the structurally sound points that carry the load of the rocket. I think there's 12 points on the bottom of the booster, and the Starship pad only has 6 points around where the landing gear are. So y'all correct me, fact check me on that. But I think what they've done with that adapter, the sort of rusty bit in the middle, right, is they took 1 Starship hard point and they turned it into 2 spots for the booster to sit on and transfer that load of that massive booster down. And look at the venting now, by the way, on Mars.
I do wonder if part of that adapter's use is to keep the Raptors from being too close to the ground, because they would be hanging down lower than they would be if a Starship was on that pad. So this is kind
That's
of
a good
keeping
point,
them,
too.
this is kind of keeping them at the same elevation as we saw them for Starship testing. And just really quickly, it's a dongle. It's a space dongle because it's an adapter
The grass vent in the bottom left.
from
Oh,
one thing
no.
to another. Anyways, yeah. Oh wow, look at that.
Yep. And I've got that up closer on the beach where you can really see the grass venting going as well from the side. I need to back it
Right.
off just a hair, don't I? But the lower right-hand corner, you can... Oh, Michael's got it. Look at that. So there's our toy truck again. And there.
Tank
Oh,
farm activity.
yeah, look. Do you remember how I said you were going to start to see things going from sort of the tank farm over towards the booster? You see the vents that are happening right above our toy truck there? It's a real truck. It's a toy truck. That's what I'm going to call it. Those things start to vent, and that's another good sign.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll be able to see on Danger Cam the feed lines going into the booster getting all frosty and goodness.
Yeah. We'll definitely... Again, right now we have this super in on the Raptor, so we can see that. But I think what we're going to do is crop this a little bit differently so we can see some of those feed lines, because you could literally see ice forming on the feed lines as
can
we
see
get
them on
closer to
the-
the test.
You can just barely see them on the right side of the frame right now. So if you didn't change it, I think it would be fine, but a little bit wider might be a good call there.
More
But
context, yeah.
either way, this is looking great. We are progressing towards a 3-engine, we think, static fire of Super Heavy. And yeah, this is looking great. I think the next thing we would look for after this is condensation around those Raptors, correct? Yes, Jack.
I think so. Yes, Jack.
Oh,
I
God.
think we'll see some vapors start to come out from the booster, and then we'll really see that condensation start to form. So
Very cool. Let's
Will-
see. Go for
Hear
it.
it.
William
Sorry,
asks,
quickly.
what are the 4 white towers for? Are they
jeez.
lightning towers?
They're for
Kevin's-
fashion. They look good.
Kevin is visiting Boca Chica next week. What should he do and see while there?
Wow, Jack.
Go to Sea Turtle Inc. Go get a surf lesson from Gene and Rachel, Space Padre. Definitely go see Starship. Trying to think of what else. I mean, get some beach time. I don't know where you're from, where you're visiting from, but there's some nice beaches out there. You could always just be a beach bum for a little bit, even just there in Boca Chica, hang out on the beach with Starship. That's always cool. Pick up some trash. Why not? Pick up some trash on the beach, because that's always a good thing. I know that might not sound super fun, but hey, it'll feel good in your heart.
Indy asks, do you think SLS will be the last NASA-built rocket? Probably not.
Oh, no.
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah,
I kind of hope so.
NASA's so good at building missions, right?
Yes.
I want to see more Mars rovers. I want to see more deep space probes that
Yes.
outlast their mission time frame by decades. Like, NASA is so good at those things, I almost wish they didn't have to worry about the rockets, and they could just get the rockets from the providers,
I
SpaceX,
agree.
ULA. You know what I mean? And let them focus on building more of those crazy Mars rovers, or like a bigger helicopter for Mars. NASA does such a good job at that stuff, and I'd love to see them freed up from a budget and a focus perspective so that they can rely on some other providers. Now, SLS not going anywhere in the meantime, but it may be the last NASA-designed rocket is sort of where I'm going with that, you know?
Yeah. Here's kind of a fun one. George asks, what year will the first Enterprise-style Starship be operational based on the leaps and bounds we're seeing here?
2,500.
No, 24, 27 in January, I think,
Nice.
at the latest.
Nice.
Lynn,
2420.
Lynn, thank you very much for becoming a member here. Glenn says, the towers point to direction to the future.
They point towards the future. They're upvotes. Every rocket starts with 4 upvotes. And, okay, moving right along.
Nice comment from Taylor, who says, hi guys, hope you all are having a great day. Keep up the good work. When load-bearing LEDs.
Did I miss the LED talk on a previous stream? What is with that?
The lift stream. SpaceX is actually developing new load-bearing LEDs to clad the tower with so that they can put awesome designs on the side of the orbital integration tower and help hold up. All right, I made most of that up, okay?
Yeah,
We just
yeah.
wish we
Pixel
wish there's
map,
LEDs
so,
on the tower.
So as they
Yeah.
put in fuel, it fills up along the side of the tower.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
like the tower LEDs light up as Starship fills up with fuel. That's what I want to see.
They should do the thing where they like used to do on the Duracell batteries or whatever, where you like press the sides of the
Yeah,
battery.
yeah.
Press
Like
the side of
different
the tower.
colors. Yeah, like
just
red,
press
it goes
the
into
sides.
yellow.
Yeah, to press the sides of the tower, you'll see how. Okay, I'll stop.
Duke asks, how the heck are they going to get the Starship on top of Super Heavy? Probably a ladder.
Crane.
Crane. I'm gonna go with Crane. I don't know that they're gonna stack the first one using any sort of infrastructure on the tower itself. I think they're gonna use a crane.
I'm just going to carry it up.
Yeah, just pick it up,
Just step ladder.
put it on top. It's pretty heavy. You'd need a big ladder.
Estimates on how many Pringle cans can fit inside that thing from Evan.
Did we get that? Oh,
He says 21,316. I feel like that's shy.
Is that a single stack, or is that like filling the volume?
I think the volume could carry more than that.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I am notoriously bad at estimates of weight and distance and time and all of that stuff. So
it's like that game at the you go to the little thing and it's like, guess how many things are in here to win a prize.
We've got one better though from Istan. Assuming chips are kept in their cans and cans optimally packed into booster. Oh my! Wow.
How many is that?
Could you read that number? I can't even parse that number in my head.
512 million.
181,000. Yeah.
In one.
In one.
Wow. That's a lot more than 21,000.
That is a lot. Oh, look, there's all sorts of different answers, though. Folks, not a one of you Dad Doss here. Not a one of you have shown your work. Show your work if you're if you're giving us an answer. I see 3 different answers over here, and I want to see the work. Yes,
Brian says
Michael, yes.
345 million. Pringles.
This is like the time that people were asking how many bushels of corn or whatever would fit in the, but with Pringle. I mean, this is what we're here for. We're answering the important questions.
Kelsix asks, how do you know which way to point the super heavy booster since there's no pointy end?
Oh, well,
There is a flamey end though.
flamey end.
There is a flamey end, yeah.
down. So, thanks to Tim for that very critical mnemonic there.
Thanks to ULA too.
Fred would like to point out that according to space.com, there's weak and rare lightning on Mars, especially during dust storms.
Oh, cool. So
Perfect
yeah, no
for building
lightning towers
towers.
here. No lightning towers here because no lightning towers on Mars. Test as you fly.
Okay.
/S.
Keith, thank you very much for becoming a new member. Are we doing shout-outs to people?
Hey, sure, why not? Why not?
Shout out to Rob and Justin watching from work in Detroit Diesel in Michigan. Good job,
Nice.
Justin.
Hey, Robin, Justin, how you doing? That was a very shout-out voice as well, Matt. Nice.
That was really good. I feel excited
Yeah.
for that shout out.
Like a sincere shout out on occasion, I'm okay with. We don't want to make it like shout outs are us or anything like that. So
I could just
now,
read every super
Yeah.
chat in the shout out voice.
Yeah, exactly.
David asks, how much fuel will it hold?
Oh my gosh. Jack, do we know? Like, I don't know off the top of my head like a volume number or anything like that. Do you know that one? I don't know that one.
I am going to just stall for time. Stall for time. Put that back in the queue. I'll get back to you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can go to our help and see if we can find it.
Okay. Would the booster get FTS or is it just Starship from Chris King?
FTS is a flight termination system. Oh.
Look at that. We've got venting under the skirt, or I guess there's no skirt, but we've got aft venting, and look at the feed lines. Those are just steaming with coldness. I can't even talk.
Getting
I'm so
frosty.
excited. Awesome.
Yep, definitely active there. You could see the vapors. I'm not kidding you, y'all. We sort of know what we're talking about. You see the vapors coming out from under Starship, and that is a sign that they're starting to put those super cold liquids into the vehicle itself. Very cool.
That's neat. If Elon ever
Wow.
asks me, that's what I tell him. Neat.
Neat. And I'm gonna go work in a technical issue real quick here, y'all. So Jack and Matt, y'all just keep on keeping on.
Okay. Is there anything more immediate going to happen, or you want to go back to the questions?
I mean, this is really something here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So,
sorry,
for anybody who
interrupt
doesn't
that
know, could you
channel.
explain the fuel composition?
Yeah,
What they're loading?
it's liquid oxygen and liquid methane, and methane is the fuel. Oxygen is the
Wow.
wow.
Nice.
And yeah, that is
It's like a dragon.
Thomas saying approximately 3,400 tons of propellant in super heavy when fully fueled, also known as 7.5 million pounds of propellant. So that is a lot. As a technical term, a lot. Look at this. What a sight. Booster 3 is coming to life for its first ever static fire. Hopefully soon here. I mean, we're progressing down the timeline rapidly. I think the next thing we would look for if this follows the Starship flow would be the methane vent, which is a small vent from that upper tank. The bottom tank is liquid oxygen, and you can see sort of that row of corrugated metal looking thing. Those are stringers that are strengthening the portion where the liquid oxygen tank on the bottom and the liquid methane tank on the top sort of meet.
Coming to life is such a good way to describe this.
Especially
with
with
how
the
it is
venting,
just
right?
screaming with vents.
Yep. Yeah, it's like it's taking its first breath. It's like, I'm gonna fire my engines. But
Yes.
Wow.
I like just don't even want to talk anymore because it sounds so
Yeah.
cool. I'm just gonna inevitably talk over some of this stuff, but
This is like the same as talking over commentators. Like when we're using an official stream,
Yeah.
you feel like you need to be quiet every time it vents.
you know
Chad,
what?
how many excitements do you have? Quantify them.
Lots. 3. Wait, no, 100. No, wait. You know what? That vent, that from the bottom of the booster right there, it kind of looks like one of the tri-vents. Obviously, there's only one right now, but I'm getting a chill down, an engine chill down vent vibe from that lower vent there. But who knows if that's actually what it is?
It might be that skirt vent we saw on Starship. Because I think people. I wish I could remember who told me this. It was a good thought, so I would like to credit it. But somebody said, whose name I've forgotten, that on Starship they have to have the engine chill vents go outside the vehicle because there's an interstage with super heavy. So they have to vent that chill down liquid oxygen outside the vehicle. But on super heavy, because the engines point out after the full stack, they can just basically vent that engine chill straight down through the Raptors. Or outside the vent on the side of the Raptor. So it might be that the engine chill vent on super heavy is just simply right next to the engines themselves.
And the tank farm is just going absolutely bonkers. Clearly, they are loading propellant into the vehicle and progressing towards a historic first ever static fire of a super heavy booster. How exciting! I hope you all are excited as we are.
So I'm up in Dallas, but I am curious if you were there, since they're loading methane, would there be a methane smell?
No. Well,
Yeah, should
actually,
like if you're at the pad, should there be a strong methane
If you
smell?
were wafting the vapors, which you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to do, but
I don't think they add mercaptans, which is the thing that makes, like natural gas or whatever in your home smell, into rocket fuel. But I will say, having been there after static fires and after flights, there is a distinct smell. I mean, I remember I watched serial number 6 hop alongside Gene from Space Padre, and the wind was blowing at us, and a few minutes or a few seconds after the launch, we just got hit by an entire wave of smell, and I think that was more the smell of combustion from the Raptor rather than methane itself. But that's a really good question. I wonder if they add mercaptans into rocket fuel just for safety or no.
Chad's informing me that methane has no natural smell when it's pure, which is something I didn't know. Thank you, Chad.
Yeah, that's like they add in a stinky smell into natural gas, like when the gas comes into your home for like a stove or a heater or something. They add that smell in for safety, so you know when there's a leak. And I don't think someone just messaged me something terrible. I don't think that they do that, but that's a good question. I would really like to know the answer to that.
Just a little fun fact here from Luis, who says an explosion of a full Starship plus super heavy stack would easily surpass that of the Soviet N-1 moon rocket's second test launch.
Yeah, and that would be bad, and we don't want to see that happen because windows would break on South Padre Island, I bet, even though it's 5 miles away, and that's not good. We don't want any test setbacks if we can avoid it. But yeah, I wonder how many kilotons that would be equivalent to. Like 1 or 2 or something? Who knows? If you know, comment. And show your work.
I guess one problem here is we have seen the Starship timeline, and we know it's supposed to be a siren at T-minus 10 minutes, but the siren has been hit or miss in the past, so hopefully we'll get a 10-minute warning, but there's a non-zero probability that the static fire could just happen without any warning. Because again, our timeline is based on previous static fires, but those static fires were with Starship, not a super heavy. So far, it's gone about how we expected it to go with Starship. But with a super heavy booster, perhaps there could be some changes. So just be aware of that, and we will do our best to not talk over the static fire, but we need a warning for the static fire, hopefully.
Would the venting calm down before that happens?
No.
Yeah, it keeps going. Like the venting.
Do we want to mention the estimate that we have from Adrian?
That depends on y'all's level of confidence. I mean, if Adrian is confident saying what that is, it seems like things seem to be lining up.
That's why I ask. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
ask Adrian and see what he. Okay, so he has consented. Our current estimate, based on data from Starship testing, which is a totally different vehicle, although so far everything has lined up to what we expect. Our current estimate is a static fire at, what is that? Is -2 military time. Darn it. 7:07. 7:07 is our current estimate based on previous Starship static fires and Adrian's tracking spreadsheet. So far,
Jack.
everything. Yep.
That's 20 minutes from now, isn't it?
Yep.
That's 20 minutes from now.
Yep.
Cool.
We're getting there. Getting real close. So we'll keep our eyes on the data, and if anything changes with that, we will let you know. And of course, as we always like to say, 1, it's an estimate based on previous data. 2, that data is from a different vehicle. And 3, there could always be any number of planned holds or unplanned holds on the part of SpaceX. It could be the case that they hit an issue and have to hold at a certain, hold point. Or, they could just plow right through and hit 7:07 right on the button. So, who knows?
Yeah, Mary says there already was a siren, so
Wait,
we're under 10 minutes.
there was a siren already?
Yep, it happened around 6:45, so about
Ooh.
7 minutes to the static fire if the siren was accurate.
Well, everything I just said, just please delete from your brains.
Wow. Well, that's going to be different.
Looking at 6:55 then.
All right, well, we'll just have to wait and see, and definitely keep our eyes on the feed so we don't talk over the sweet sound of static fire.
Wow.
Either way, we're getting close. We're getting real close here, and it's history. It's a historic moment, and it's a stepping stone on the road to the future. That's why I like to yell history and future alternately. Let's see. Totally Not Andrew Roblox asking, do you think B3 will, in future boosters will have a different tri-vent? I think we're seeing that now. I think there is no tri-vent on the booster. I think, sort of like what Michael was saying, the engine chill vents are on the engines themselves. If we are indeed less than 10 minutes away, then we would already have seen the tri-vent. But yeah, that's a good question there. Getting real close here. This is awesome. I should check what my heart rate is on my watch.
Yeah, I'm going to say out loud real quick, Michael, do you want that wider shot on beach? Like, do we actually want that whole facility shot? I think that the tower is going to give some context to how big the plume is.
Yeah,
So,
if you want to, go for it, please.
yeah, I can do it. I'll go ahead and pull that one back. Again, we have lots of different angles and stuff, y'all. And sometimes close-in angles are awesome, but wide shots of exactly how big this plume is. It's going to be smoke and dust, mostly dust that you see come up. But that's how we know that it's a static fire. A static fire should produce thrust from the engines. The thrust goes down and hits the ground, and it blows this huge cloud of dust around, and the dust sort of blows off to one side. So I will handle that. And this is cool.
Yeah, that is an understatement. What an amazing thing to see. After so much speculation and so many starships on this pad, now we have a booster on the pad ready to go, potentially just moments away from its first ever static fire. I mean, imagine being at Stennis when they first ever fired a F1 engine or something like, or an RS-25. I mean, oh my gosh. How cool is that? My heart rate is at 120 BPM and I'm sitting still. I might be having a heart attack.
You know, I really enjoyed all 5 hours of the section stacking yesterday in the tower, but this is cooler.
Yeah, no question.
Michael?
I am frantically working.
Okay.
Super cool.
Oh, sorry, I see the problem.
Okay, good.
You should have just told me to change the scene. Sorry, I am trying to get something else working.
No worries. You do your thing, Michael. Pull the steampunk levers and make the things work while we flap our gums effortlessly. Do the real work. Look at that amount of condensation. That is significant. You can see like a crane on the very right side of the screen, like hiding, like, please don't hurt me. Oh, and there you can see it even better there.
So we're estimating about 3 minutes from now, based on the siren.
Potentially, but the siren is a less precise indicator. Sometimes the siren's early, sometimes the siren's late. So it could be any minute now. It could be 10 minutes from now. It's just sort of, they say they're supposed to do it 10 minutes before the firing, and we've seen a lot of variability in when that siren goes off. So it's not like it's one of those data points that we can track and put in the spreadsheet and reliably estimate stuff on. But I mean, even with those data points, obviously, since this is the first time they've ever done this with a booster, we can't really estimate too well off of that either, as evidenced by the early siren. So we shall see. Really, any second now, I think is a appropriate guess, because there's got to be some amount of time between when it is communicated to the law enforcement officer, hey, do your siren thing, and the time where they go, okay, and turn the car on and turn the siren on and start driving, right? Even if it's just 30 seconds or a minute, there could be some lag time. So it could even be, static firing right now. Who knows?
But no.
How
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that?
thinking-
Really cool if you pulled that off.
I am thinking we should all stop talking because I don't want to talk over the static fire.
So yeah, I'm down. And Matt, you joke, but I did do that once within like 2 seconds.
And then he continues the talk.
But really quick, we can see that camera on the right is having some instability. I don't know what we're going to see from that, but we have Mary's camera on the left on 4 modems. So we'll watch the experimental feed we have near the site, but worst case, Mary is going to get it for us.
All right, so we're going into quiet mode.
Yes.
Okay. What if nothing happens for like 5 minutes, though?
Shut up.
Some people would probably be happy with that.
That's what the 24/7 stream is for.
Looking any better? Talk to me. What do you know?
We're trying to go see if we get a static fire here, y'all. We're being quiet because there's no countdown. We will see the flare of the engines and the plume of smoke before we would hear any noise, but it could happen at any moment. That's what we're standing by for here.
Oh, sure, you get to talk.
I gotta explain.
The library. Shush.
It's a rocket library. It's like a rocket church. I think now we're past that 10 minutes from the siren.
Well past, yep.
Yeah, so we don't know specifically what's going on, but if their T-0 was 10 minutes after the siren sounded, they've now passed that mark, which might be an indication that something's up. Completely expected. We would absolutely positively expect, this being the first time they've done this, them to have a hold or potentially a recycle. That would make perfect sense to us. Don't get any official word from SpaceX, but if this is, if they did do that siren 10 minutes in advance, we're now past that 10 minutes.
I should say right now we're on Mary's microphone, so we can talk. We will have warnings. Pay attention when you are talking.
Right. Yeah, watch the screen, and if it flashes, then everybody be quiet.
that takes it takes like 5 or 6 seconds to travel the distance.
Yep.
I just heard cheering and clapping.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, a lot of times there'll be SpaceX employees out there watching these tests, so that could have been them maybe applauding something. Bird.
You just point out the bird.
Mhm.
Thank you. Chat,
It's
that was a
important.
bird.
Yeah, it's important to do. So do we want to answer questions or do we want to keep shutting up?
That is a good question. If I answer it, I will also answer your question. So, I think at this point we probably can't. Let's just keep talking about what's going on. Let's not do questions or super chats or anything. Let's just explain to people what we're looking for here. I know that a lot of people get really sort of keyed up right around T-0 like this, but we're gonna watch and see what happens. Again, we don't get an official countdown or anything like that. Unlikely that they'll redo the 10-minute siren. So we may not have all the information that we would hope we would have. We shall see.
We are coming up on 7:07, 7:02 local right now, almost 7:03. So, just something to point out. Who knows? Maybe Adrian will be right. But yeah, looks like. I mean, to your question earlier, Matt, you asked if the venting would sort of calm down a little bit before static fire, and it does look like the tank farm has chilled out. Oh god, I hate myself for the pun. It has calmed down, right? So it would seem to me that whatever loading of propellant they did, they have done, and the vehicle is in a steady state at this point, sort of waiting to do its thing.
More people cheering in the background. I wonder what that means. It's the confused media button is what it is.
They're
Yep.
doing giveaways.
They're
Someone's
doing
got a
giveaways.
t-shirt cannon.
Yeah, there's a T-shirt cannon out there. They're firing BN3 T-shirts into the SpaceX crowd.
7:05 local, coming up hopefully on the first ever static fire of Booster 3 or any super heavy booster down here in Boca Chica, Texas at SpaceX's South Texas facility. Again, this is a feed from Mary, Boca Chica gal. Oh, there we go.
Hey. We got something all of a sudden there.
That was definitely a static fire.
That one camera. I'm going to... Come on, technology. But that was awesome.
That was super awesome. Look at all that dust it kicked up.
That's the plume of dust that we're looking for. That means that the some number of Raptors, I'm not going to say 3 yet, but some number of Raptors actually produced thrust. That force hit the ground underneath them, and we got that big plume of dust. And a drone, it sounds like. It sounds like a drone going over Mary right there. But that is what a static fire is supposed to look like for the booster. That's the first time they've lit up engines on that are actually attached to a booster out there at the pad. So if that was 3 engines.
29. Imagine 29.
Yeah. God. There's some clapping. I wonder if the clapping that we heard wasn't somebody hearing on the radio that they're proceeding again or something like that.
Yeah, that's what
Like they went into, they had a hold or something like that, and then you heard clapping because somebody heard on one of the SpaceX radios that that some good news came over the radio, right?
That wouldn't shock me at all. That seems like a very logical conclusion there.
T-shirt cannon was a good guess, though.
Yeah,
You know, man, could always be a t-shirt cannon. You never know. Very cool. Well, first ever static fire of a super heavy booster. It's been done. 3 engines. I mean, that's what it looked like anyways. A huge amount of dust getting kicked up. I don't think that was just one. We will have to check the feeds there and see if we can glean any information off of any of our extra cameras that we have. But thank goodness Mary was out there with her camera and got that all set up. I mean, it's not like she wouldn't be, right? She's all eyes on all things in Boca at all times. So thanks to her for that. Chat, throw a thanks Mary in chat because, hey, we had these views thanks to her.
Got venting on the side of it now.
Yeah, look at that. Now it's venting. Let's see if we can hear it.
That would be the depress.
Elon tweeted full duration test firing of 3 Raptors on super heavy booster.
Well, now we don't have to analyze any footage because we know how many Raptors it was.
Wow.
That was fantastic.
Look at the venting there.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about scale earlier. This thing is huge, and those vents are not small. I think there's something like 10 or 15 meters. We did an estimate on a previous, on like a cryopress stream. They're huge, huge, very high pressure vents. It's super cool to see. Super cool to see this thing fire up for the first time. That is a bit of history. History has been made in South Texas. I mean, hooray! I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited by that.
I think it's a step. It's a step in the right direction. They need to keep going forward with the test. I know it's been a while since we've got a static fire like that. And there's got to be people watching like, oh my gosh, what? That's what it was? Like, really? That's why we were sitting here watching it? That's important. The fact that it is. That's a big deal that they got those engines. They've tested the engines. Up at Mcgregor, they've tested the engines over and over again. They know that the engines are going to light. But then you get down here to Boca Chica, and you have to integration test the engines. You actually have to see if you can get those engines lighting on the booster. So that is a whole other step. And the fact that the SpaceX team sort of almost first try when they're going for it here was able to get the static fire happening, that is a huge testament to the amount of work that they've put in. So
Yeah. That's rather impressive,
Very well
honestly. I'm just thinking back at all the Starship tests that they did and the number of times where they had to send some people back to the pad to tweak an igniter or this or that or the other thing. I mean, first attempt of a super heavy static fire went off without a hitch, as evidenced by Elon's tweet that it was full duration. I mean, really, really, really excellent stuff and bodes well for the future of testing and for an orbital flight attempt, hopefully before the end of the year. Speaking of, I wonder how our member and good friend Andre is feeling right now about his bet with a number of people who I know regarding this thing flying by the end of the year. I imagine he's feeling pretty good right now. I mean, I certainly am.
Jack, look at this. Danger Cam has survived the static fire. It got stage fright during the static fire. I'm very mad about it, but the good news is Danger Cam is alive, and hopefully the next static fire, it will not freak out at T0.
I mean, I'll put it this way: if I was where Danger Cam is, I would be freaking out as well. So there you go. Kind of understandable, a little bit disappointing, but understandable. And like you said, hopefully for the next one, it will have improved its mettle a little bit.
And everyone, please say thanks to Mary in chat, because without Mary today, she held down the fort with that audio and super stable, awesome video that the robot apparently freaked out about. It's probably my fault. By the way, this actual problem is probably going to be my fault, so don't blame DOS, blame me, but we'll get it right.
Whatever.
There's going to be a lot of static fires with this booster, at least that's what it sounds like. So, I mean, plans can always change. They originally were going to start with a single engine static fire, and they apparently went straight to the triple engine static fire. So we'll see how it goes, but there is a good chance this is not the last static fire. And we will pull, obviously, the footage that was recorded locally now that the camera survived. So stay tuned to the daily video, and we'll have all of the different angles from our bots.
Actually, daily video is going to be events from today, but there will be a static fire video as well.
Okay, so the static fire video and the daily video. Two videos to look forward
Things,
to.
right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, what, I mean, just so cool. And Michael, you said we think there's going to be more static fires with this booster. Do you think they'll test the same engines in different positions? Or do you think they'll add more engines on? Or what do you think?
I'm hoping they're going to add more engines, but I don't know for sure. I haven't seen any Elon tweets yet, but if Elon tweets and somebody wants to ask Elon, maybe you can get a reply from him on how many Raptors we should expect to get installed in total.
If I was going to be asking Elon a question on his current tweet right there, that would be the question I would be asking: is what are you gonna? How many engines are you gonna go up to? What's the plan? Because I mean, oh my gosh, 3 is a lot. 3 is a lot by itself. Imagine any number higher than 3 is going to be something really special to see, and that'll be the first time more than 3 Raptors have ever been fired at once. Somebody, just really quickly, somebody in chat, I see a lot of people saying, thanks, Mary. I see somebody saying, who is Mary? She's a Boca Chica resident. She lives there in Boca Chica Village. She's who shoots all the daily videos. She's the one with boots on the ground that catches the deliveries of the cool things arriving in Starbase and catches all the stuff that is going on there, all the testing, as you could see today. So, yeah, if you don't follow Boca Chica Gal on Twitter, you really should, because she is the best source of breaking news there in Boca Chica. So that is who Mary is. You should know. If you watch the stream and if you don't know anything, you should definitely know who Mary is. So Boca Chica Gal on Twitter, Boca Chica resident. Hello, I see Scott Manley in the chat. What up, Scott?
Hello.
Wow, that almost sounded like Scott. I'm like, wait, Scott didn't join, did he?
Scott Manley here.
That's
Actually,
good.
That's actually
good.
really good. Jeez.
Hi, Scott.
Yes.
I'm just jazzed over here. I can't even think. I can't collect my thoughts to think words. Do we want to thank some people here?
Sure, absolutely. I'm just checking everything and trying to figure out if we still have all of our cameras online and stuff. It looks like everything has survived right now. We're going to be, of course, pulling footage. I know that we had that one that sort of got taken out. Didn't exactly get taken out, but we'll work on that and see what the deal is with it. Looking over here, it looks like Mars Cam is okay. What is that? Michael, hang on a second. Can you go to Mars Cam real quick for us?
I am not getting stable video from Mars Cam. I'm waiting for it to stabilize.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What? Well, wait a second. It isn't stable video completely. It looks like it's a little hiccupy, but it seems that someone has left not quite a crop circle for us. There seems to be some sort of message left in the field mysteriously here. What is this? This is near one of our cameras. It is. It is. We've been doing donuts on Mars, I guess, and we have some sort of message that's been left out here in the field on Mars. Let me see if we can enhance and see what this is. Everybody knows that they wonder when Starship was going to hop, but these days, a little bit shaky on the video. Can anyone translate that? Do we have anyone who can translate this for us in the chat? When orbit?
Matt, you're supposed to let the class come up with the answer before you tell them.
I was just gonna let him say what it is.
When moon arrow.
When, I mean, we have a question mark that clearly someone's curious
Moon
about
arrow?
something. And then
When space donut pointy thing.
face donut pointy thing. You know what I think this is? I think this is a sign from our guy in the merch shop. I think that he has released a new design. We're moving on from Win Hop, and we now have the Win Orbit Starship merch in the shop. Check this out over in chat. I'm going to put the link in. It's like scrolling like crazy, but click on the shop link that K-Space Academy, that's me, is doing. And if you head over that way, you can see we've got some new t-shirts, we've got some new hats and stuff like that. Michael, you can go back whenever you want. The jig's up. We have some mugs. Moving on from Win Orbit, or from Win Hop, we now have Win Orbit Starship. And no one will know. No one will know what your shirt means if you have on that shirt or hat. There's long sleeve shirts, there's hoodies, there's the hats, there's the mugs and everything. Head on over to the shop.
Continuing our trend of esoteric shirts that almost nobody will know, but every now and then you'll pass someone on the street and they'll go, "Hey, Starship!" and you'll be friends with them because they passed the test.
Again, I'm going to put that link into chat one more time. A little bit of a gag. Funny story, didn't tell anybody I was doing that.
Yeah, I had no idea you were doing that. That's hilarious, though.
No one knew that there is a print shop in Brownsville that printed out that design, and Mary actually went into town and picked it up and nailed it to a post, and we put it out last week, and then we were worried about it, so we pulled it back in because static fire didn't happen, and Mary went out there and put it out again today, literally so that I could pan the camera to it live. Thanks, Mary. I didn't clear that with anybody.
Good job. It's an elaborate ruse.
I almost forgot to mention, Steven out in the field there too, and he just posted up some sweet photos on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
He was racing down there to get there in time, so I'm glad he got to see it. That must have been fun.
Let's get those tweets and stuff like that linked up as well for Steven, who's made it out there. Hey, y'all, the merch store, it's a little bit of a gag, like a little bit of a funny thing there, but the merch store really is another way that you can support what we're doing. We have a lot of fun with this, and if you want a cool t-shirt or a mug or something like that, that is another thing that you can do. You can buy a cool little design or something. Money like that we get goes back into bandwidth and more improvements and all that sort of stuff out at Boca Chica. So funny thing there, putting the sign in the field, but it really does mean a lot with this when y'all do a little bit of shopping and buy a t-shirt. That is a huge way to help us out. So thank you all so much for the support.
Whoa, we have a tweet from Elon. Get this. Elon says, depending on progress with Booster 4, we might try a 9-engine firing on Booster 3 9 times.
Okay, Booster 4, take your time.
Yeah, right? I just wanted to say 9 times as Ferris Bueller. But yeah, 9-engine firing is possible with Booster 3 based on Elon's tweet.
No kidding. 9 engines?
9 engines.
Go big or go home.
I'm trying to do a Ferris Bueller here. 9 engines. 9 times. All right, nobody laughs. It's okay. I still like it.
9 engines? 9 engines.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just remember that conversation we had yesterday about potentially needing a backup danger cam?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, you want a backup danger cam?
I think the current one might be in danger.
I got all sorts of diagnostic information off that, Michael, and we'll see what the deal
no, I
was
mean
there.
for the 9 Raptors, not for the
Oh!
problem today.
You mean
Come
for 9
on.
Raptors?
Yeah.
I thought you meant... You just want to put 2 cameras in harm's way, huh?
I guess. I mean, I just want to make sure that we're prepared for when danger gets absolutely obliterated by 9 Raptors.
Well, we'll work on it. How's that?
Sounds good. But yeah, thank you all for the super chats because clearly we have upgrades we need to do, and we appreciate all your support. So I hope people don't mind us plugging the store and the super chats, but believe us, it goes a long way. We have spent a lot of money on getting 24/7 online in particular, and all of that would not be possible without your support.
Literally nothing we do would be possible without your support. So thank you. And I'm looking at the super chat queue, and we are 54 minutes behind. Do you want me to
Yeah,
run through some of these, or Matt? Do you want to run through some of these?
Matt?
Sure,
Yeah.
I would be happy to. Do we have time for questions, or do you want me to just go through and thank people?
We made it, unless it's a really quick question, we may just need to sort of run through. Let's just do some thanking. How's that sound?
Okay, Octavian, thank you very much. We appreciate that very, very, very much. Scylla as well, thank you. Jesse C, thank you very much for supporting the channel. Thank you to Musical Wolves, who says the world's largest lightning rod. Maybe they don't need a tower. Wolfram, thank you for becoming a new member. Bart Hepler, thank you very much for your support. Bill Reeds, thank you as well. Dr. J Gaming, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. Jordan Eggleston, thank you so very much for supporting. Don Frederick has become a member as well. And DB Explorer, thank you for becoming a member, as well as Joseph Stark. Evan Cook, I think, is still trying to figure out Pringle cans. TJ Cooney, what kind of pizza would you eat on your first Starship flight? Pineapple pizza. Just to watch the world burn. Thomas Mayer with a very, very big support there. Thank you, Thomas. It's $100.
Wow, thank you so much, Thomas.
Yeah.
That is incredibly generous. Thank you.
James Powers, thank you for your support as well. Assuming the tanks are empty, you can fit 42 gallons of feathers in the tank. That's something that they would absolutely do. Richard Hiley, thank you. And what is the status of S20? Anybody know?
They're building it.
They're building it, yep.
Okay, they're building it. David, thank you very much for your support as well. Stephanie says hi from Oregon, and thank you for the streams. Thank you,
Hey,
Stephanie.
How's it going?
Shiny Bad Guy, thank you very much for supporting the channel. Chris Dallaire, do all the successful Starship tests make this static fire more likely to be successful, or is this like starting from scratch? Well, it was successful.
It's all stepping forwards. I mean, this is they've learned a lot on the Raptors. They've learned a lot on the test infrastructure out there. So this is like one more step forward. Now they've got Raptors that have actually fired on this vehicle, like the booster itself there. Now, remember, Booster 3 is not going to fly. B3 is not going to fly intentionally. But these are all important things. Just like Elon said, they may go to 9 engines. God, can you imagine? That was 3 engines. They may go all the way to 9. So it's all stepping forward towards a full stack that tries to go most of the way to orbit, and even that's stepping towards going all the way to orbit.
$20 from Space and Dog says thank you for this. Says keep up the good work, and thank you very much for doing that. Evan Burdette says that this is the biggest stick of dynamite in human history. Sean Howard, thank you for supporting, and a new member in Anthony. Thank you very much, Anthony. John Dopeker, sorry. Victoria wants to know why Starship isn't insulated like Delta 4, and what makes its insulation orange. Nobody?
So
Food
Starship, yeah, sorry. You mean what makes the Delta 4 insulation orange? That's the Sophie, the spray on foam insulation, and that's just the natural color of it. They don't paint it to save weight and stuff like that. But that's just the natural color that it turns, especially after it gets a suntan. Like UV light hits it, and it changes it that orange color, right? Now, Starship doesn't need to be insulated because it's, well, I want to say because it's stainless steel, but I know that that's not the exact correct answer. I just think that they don't think that it needs it. Like, it's not dealing with liquid hydrogen, which is temperature sensitive. It's dealing with the liquid methane and the liquid oxygen, but I don't know that I can... Would it get more performance if it was insulated? Maybe. Would it be more complicated and more to deal with if it wasn't insulated? Maybe. Maybe SpaceX could insulate it, but they just don't think that they would get enough performance increase for the additional complexity if they had actually insulated. I don't know. That's a guess on what I know. That's not like an authoritative answer. Did anybody else, Jack, you want to take a guess at that?
Nope.
Okay. Burning through some more. Big thank yous to Roger Smith, to Jeff Lowell, to Mr. Hockey. Thank you very much. Invisible, thank you as well. Jared E.S., have you ever tried to get Elon on the stream? I mean, I think we'd probably be happy to have him.
Sure enough.
I mean, you know.
You know where to find us.
Our DMs are open, I guess. I don't know what to say to that even. Just go knock on Mary's door.
We do know he watches or has watched in the past, so you never know. It'd be really cool to get to ask him some of the questions that we would love to know the answers to.
I think he said we were mostly accurate, but that's about the same as mostly harmless. So
He also said we were pretty funny, or the commentary was pretty funny.
Yeah,
which-
like in
which
Mystery
I will
Science
take.
Theater. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Vernon, thank you very much for the support, as well as Chris Schwab. Mark Dodson asked, why are there no frost wings on the booster when it fueled up there?
Probably just didn't put enough fuel in it. The super short static fire engines don't have to operate for any more than a second or two there, so they didn't really need to put very much fuel in it or oxygen. So you're not going to see a lot of frost on the side. And I don't know exactly how much they need to put in, but remember, the bottoms of the tanks are also dome-shaped. Like they're shaped like a bowl, and so you can get a pretty good amount of liquid oxygen, liquid methane in there before it's even touching the sidewalls. So it's possible that the amount that they put in just wasn't enough to even really cool down the stainless steel that was up a ways and create the icing and the frost like we see. That would be my guess.
Bid Dragon says, you guys better be good or Elon will ground you.
Talking to the Raptors or moving on.
I don't know.
I didn't laugh at the joke. I laughed at your laugh, which really got me good.
Russell, have y'all spotted anything that looks like a tri-vent?
Nope.
$50 from Russell. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
What is a tri-vent?
So we used to have a thing where there was a very clear vent coming out of the side of Starship, and there were 3 vents, and so we called it a tri-vent. And we thought that the venting coming from the side was each engine had 1 vent, right? So it was 3 engines on the Starship. There were 3 vents, and we said, oh, the tri-vent. And the tri-vent was a very obvious sign when they were at very specific parts of the countdown. You'd see the tri-vent, and then it would like surge out, and then the tri-vent would sort of back off for a second, and then like a huge poof, and then the static fire would happen. Huge poof, that's a technical term. This is why my t-shirt says roadside rocket scientist. It's like armchair quarterback. But the tri-vent, we didn't see anything like that today, and we did surmise that that may be different when you get to super heavy, because what are you going to have, like a 29 vent? You can have 1 vent for each of the 29 engines. We thought that they may be routing that differently, aggregating engines together, having vents that come out from other places. So we weren't too surprised not to see a tri-vent on the booster, even though we used to see a tri-vent on the Starship. How's that?
Got it. Dominic, thank you very much for your support. Liz McQuaid as well, thank you so very much for supporting the channel. Andy Law, 50 pounds. Awesome coverage, thank you. This is why we watch these Water Towers Can Fly streams.
That's heavy, Doc. 50 pounds?
Great Scott!
You like that? 2 references in one. Go ahead.
Mr. Hockey, sorry, became a new member. Thank you so very much for that. Joe as well, thank you for your support. Ian Glennon says, thank you, Mary, 50 pounds.
And speaking of thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
I do have a replay of Mary's awesome footage. And I'm going to try to pipe the audio in. So we'll see if this works. Here we go.
All right. Which one's the replay? The Pip?
Yes, the Pip.
Nice. Wow.
I think that might be the best sound we've gotten for a static fire. What a great audio.
You know what? There was no honk.
You're right. Not even nothing. Not even close to a honk. Just a boom, and that's it.
Yeah. Normally there's like a big honk noise at the end of it when they shut down the turbo pumps cooling down, I think.
Yeah. Good,
That sounded clean.
Good observation, Ross. That sounded ridiculous to me. Also, I love the crowd sound. The crowd ooh. It's just quality.
I like the way Michael's rewinding that.
He's getting the job
you
done.
got to. Look
I've
at that.
forgotten the command though. What's the command in VLC to go forward 1 frame? Somebody
Oh,
tell me.
There's no command in VLC.
There
good
is
grief.
no command in VLC? Come on.
No, there is,
VLC.
but I don't know what it is. It changes every time I install the program. Like, I actually don't know what it is, Michael.
Chat, which button do I click? Someone tell me what chat is saying.
E. I'm getting E. It looks like the votes are coming in for E.
Oh, there we go. And
Okay.
W's back. No,
Okay.
W's full screen.
Oh, man.
I don't want full screen.
Look at that. And this is just a copy of the broadcast footage as well, right?
Yeah, whatever. We'll do it
footage.
this way.
The
Yeah,
footage in
cool.
the static fire video we put up will be full res and full bandwidth, full bit rate, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes
Fine to
open.
see when it
on the
shuts
channel
down.
for that.
When the dust clears, it looks like there's maybe a little bit of residual fire, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's like some debris went flying as well.
And VLC has frozen, so
Yes. Good
we'll
times.
come back to the replay when the VLC has been unfrozen.
Just a few more of these supercharts, and we'll be clear for the queue. 5 pounds from Thomas. Thank you very much for the support. Appreciate you a whole bunch. Charles asked for the mathletes out there, how many T-shirts fit in that cannon? Can we get a BN3 T-shirt cannon T-shirt in the shop? Mike. I want to see somebody actually estimate that. Mike says thank you to Mary. I'm going to say this wrong, but Itaken, thank you very much for the support.
Yeah, that's 5. So you know Danger Cam. If your audio would have done this 10 minutes or 20 minutes ago.
Michael, I got it on Mars. If you want to look at Mars real quick, if you're getting a stable feed.
Look at that! Wow.
Yeah. I was in the top as well, but look at that.
Each of those plumes is like 15 meters long.
Yeah.
That is
Something like
amazing.
that.
There we go. All right. I got it framed correctly. Sorry, it took me a second there. Look at that.
It's mad. It's like, I wanted to go to space. You didn't let me.
It's 5 million by 5 on this microphone, apparently.
When it's just the two little ones, it looks like it has a little wavy arms.
Wacky waving inflatable vent man, tube man,
Yeah. Wacky waving steel. Yeah, we'll work on that.
stainless steel tube man. Oh, we got that one from Marcus, didn't we?
Yeah, thanks, Marcus.
Hey, Marcus, how's it going?
There's no when Scott's in the chat, we can be like, hello, but I don't think there's anything for Marcus that we can meme. But you're still awesome, Marcus. You put out great content. Thanks.
Ah,
Whoa, Marcus. I'll do it for both.
jeez.
And we've got a $250 tip upgrade to
Wow.
Danger Cam. Thanks, guys, from Paul LaMadeline.
No kidding.
You've got to get it done now.
I mean, we're going to get it done for sure. Paul, $250 is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, you know my saying, that's crazy, but that's our kind of crazy. Thank you so much for being so super generous that we turn that right back around into more equipment, more coverage, more ways that it doesn't go crazy right before the launch and stuff like that. Just thank you so much for this. That is a significant amount of support, isn't it, man?
That is, it really is. That's the thing that always leaves you a little speechless.
Ah.
It's just we couldn't do any of this without that kind of support and all the different camera feeds we have, all the data that we use, everything. Thank you so much, Paul, because without stuff like that, without support like that, just would not be possible. So thank you. And not only that, but not everybody can support us monetarily, which is totally fine. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. That's a huge support too. But the people that are super chatting and do buy merch and do become members, you guys are helping provide this imagery to everybody else around the world that can't. So super, super awesome of you, Paul, there. Thank you to you and to everybody else that has been doing the super chats today and every time we stream. It's so integral to what we do. So thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
And we just had a $300 come through from Desmo. Blue Fire, here's to Danger Cam.
Wow, Desmo, that's another one of those names we see a lot, and if I'm not mistaken, we've seen some big super chats from Desmo, so thank you so much. So, I mean, oh my god, what do you even say to that?
Thank you. And then
Yes,
you
thank
keep
you.
going. I know, right?
Very
Like,
much.
What can you possibly say that's enough for the level of support that chat puts in? And it's thank you.
Yep.
And not to go unacknowledged, Dog Cruz, thank you very much for the $10 for 9 Raptors. $9.99 for 9 Raptors.
Nice, I like it.
Jirwa laughed about 9 times, Jack. Wants to know that your joke was appreciated.
Yay! 9 engines. 9 engines? 9 engines.
David Highland, thank you so very much for supporting the channel as well. Michael Reagan, a bit of money for Danger Cam too. Thank you very much there, Michael.
I appreciate you.
John Prescott just became a new member. Thank you so much. And Gary Yerish, thank you for supporting the channel as well. And then Danny Archer says, whoever is reading the super chats is moonlighting from his radio job.
I gotta say, your voice is velvety and amazing, and I love listening to it, so I'm glad you're on the stream.
I'm on loan from Marvel. Michael Williams says, when upgrade Mike Williams, a.k.a. the Sleeve.
Okay.
I don't know that
Michael.
one, but we're through the super chats.
Wow. So moratorium, no more super chats there. We finished the list. We made
Yeah.
it to the end.
I'm on strike.
Oh, folks, I know, I mean, we never want our broadcast to just be reading super chats. I get it. You don't want to come over here and it's like, well, these guys they say thank you to super chats for 4 hours straight. We always try to strike a balance between saying thanks to the people who support us and financially make this possible, and also reading questions from anybody. We don't say, oh well, you have to pay $5 to ask a question. That's not cool. That's not how we do it. We can't get to all of the questions because at some point there were 40,000 people watching this, and it takes y'all 20 seconds to type a question, and then we talk about it for 18 minutes. So it's really difficult for us to get everything. To get every question answered. We do try our best to at least hit most of the big topics, and we thank y'all so much for the support. It's just, we can never say thank you enough. What we can do is we can keep showing up, hopefully giving you quality views, entertaining commentary, accurate and useful information. It's like an educational, informational sort of thing as well. We try to strike the balance between all three of those, and I know every now and then we get feedback, oh, you're too unprofessional. You know, oh, you need to like come to work in a suit and tie and be super serious and stuff. And hey, don't get me wrong, we take some things very seriously. Human spaceflight, safety, we're very serious about some of that stuff. But you know something? Sitting here watching these tanks for 5 hours straight, good grief, we got to crack a couple jokes.
Look at that venting on the right.
Yeah.
I mean, I put on pants, so.
Yeah, see, it's a good commute. Putting on pants, this shows how serious you are about this.
Some things matter.
But we appreciate y'all. Like, y'all keep showing up. You don't even have to do a big super chat or anything like that. Everybody who comes to the stream, whether you're just doing a retweet of something or you're just in the stream watching, hey, a really awesome thing you can do is put it up on the TV. Let your family see it, you know. Make somebody else watch it too. Subject them to our voices. However you're a member of the community and however you're involved, it is a big old team space, and we're glad we're able to share this stuff with you, and thank you so much for being a part of it. How's that, y'all? How's that sound?
You have to put our commentated stream on the big TV and Starbase Live with the cameras we cannot fit on the screen on your computer. That's the rule.
Yep.
Not a rule, by the way, but that's the idea that you should take up. Because trust me, it's cool. I have all the cameras on my computer as well, and seeing the static fire happen from all the different angles is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're rapidly approaching the point where it's like the dude from the Matrix with all the screens. What is it, the architect or something?
Yes.
It's been a long time.
It's the architect.
Yeah, the
Thank
architect. That is a thing to talk about the 24/7 broadcast. When we're doing the live commentated broadcasts, we also keep that 24/7 stream up. and we put it in sort of a fixed mode, but a lot of times you can see the other camera angles that we're not using here. We're bringing that video in, and we'll show them over on the 24/7 stream, Starbase Live, if we can get that link into chat. So you could definitely watch both streams at the same time. You'll want to watch the angle from the beach, but we have the angle from Danger Cam full screen right now. Over on Starbase Live, we've even got a roadblock cam, so you can see what the status of the roadblock is or whatever. So that stream stays going. We do sort of change the cameras around a little bit, but a lot of times you can see cameras there that we're not using on the commentated broadcast. Or you could just go over there and mute our audio and pipe in the calming sounds of waves and stuff.
Pointing out we are very close to 500K subs.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Whoa.
4,000 away.
4,000 away. Nice.
If we had plugged it a little bit more today, we could have gotten there.
Well, there's a plug for that, you know. If you like the stream, you know how to get back to it, right? Like and subscribe, etc., etc. I won't be too cheesy on that. I think I've used up my recommended daily allowance of cheese.
Just in case you forgot you're on YouTube.
So normally here, we stay live until the road opens again. We don't know exactly how long that's going to take, but that is our usual plan, to stay live until they open the road. Is that our plan for today, Michael? What's our deal?
Well, I don't think another static fire is likely. I don't know. I don't really care. If somebody wants to keep commentating, I'm perfectly happy to keep the stream going until the road opens. If somebody wants to go eat some food, I'm fine with that too. We do have Starbase Live, so we're not stopping being live. We're still going to be live, but it's just a matter of if you want to keep commentating or not, I guess.
I will say that I have to be on a shuttle bus to Van Horn at midnight.
Oh, lucky you.
So I probably want to get some food and not be on stream for some period of time before then. But I'm good for a little bit longer. And I know we have other people we can tag in if we want to keep going. And the window closes at 10, so they have like 2 more hours in the window. You never know. But if we did spool down, we could always spool back up again if it became obvious they were going to static again.
Something else, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Can answer a couple more questions here.
I also got the replay again, Jack. I'll just show it one more time quickly, and then we'll save the rest of the replays for the actual video that we're going to put together with Mary's footage and all of the robots as well. But really quickly, here is one more replay of the static fire in case you're just joining us.
Not to give you too much work, but can we have the replay big and the live in PIP?
Yes, I can do that. 1 second.
I still like the whoa. Ah! That's like a punch in the face.
I feel like it sounds different. It just sounds like more. I don't know if it's because the Raptors are higher up or just it's been a while or what, but it just really feels like that was an extremely loud static fire. I'd be curious what Mary thinks, if that sounded normal or louder or quieter or what.
I'm just going to do this once. This is a replay. We're going to go full screen, but this is a replay if you're just tuning in. So here is the full screen replay from Mary.
Nice.
Good grief.
And back to live.
And we did not miss anything, luckily.
Yeah.
Man, we have come so far in just a year's time. Where were we at a year ago? We were probably somewhere around SN5 or SN6, right? And now we're on Booster 4 and Ship 20, and Booster 3 and Ship 20, and Booster 3 just fired its engines for the first time. It's just pedal to the metal here. Boca Chica. Joe asking, does anyone seriously think the tower can catch this gigantic booster? Or is Elon just messing around and suggesting it? Seems scaled up Falcon 9 landing legs would be simpler. Well, then you add mass to the booster is the problem with legs on the booster. You're adding mass, and there's a mass penalty for that. I don't think Elon is messing around, although I do think a lot of us thought that initially, right? But it certainly seems like the tower can catch the booster. My question is, can the tower survive if the booster has a bad day and hits the tower? And of course, that's why I keep going back to tower versus booster, and I say tower wins. But that's just me.
I think so. I think that thing's got to be built to last
Right?
as much
Yeah,
as possible.
I would agree. Tower
'Cause that-
wins.
Otherwise, that puts significant delays. Anytime there's a problem, I mean, more than usual, they'd have to rebuild that entire tower, and it took some time.
Indeed. Yeah, that's a good observation. Bum bum bum. JSPSFS asking, will BN4, it's actually B4, BN nomenclature has been depreciated. Will B4 do a static fire with all 29 or 33, it'll be 29, Raptors before its historic flight? We don't know. It certainly would be cool to see, though, and perhaps the orbital pad could sustain that, as we talked about earlier. Not a full duration firing, but static fire. Really quick. I do not know how to pronounce your name. I sincerely apologize, but they are asking, how many static fires will Booster 3 conduct? We also don't know. But Elon did just tweet. Depending on how Booster 4 goes, they might throw 9 engines on Booster 3 and do that. So at least one more, potentially. Potentially at least one more. Is that enough weasel words? I hope so.
Well done.
Let's see. Conan asking, so eventually the plan is to get as many starships to orbit using the super heavy boosters, then at the optimal point send them all to Mars. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we would send them all at once, like a fleet sort of arriving at Mars, and because there's one transfer window and you're probably going to have multiple ships at some point, at least in the far future, if not the near future. So yep, that certainly seems like the plan. Edwin asking, will orbital flight happen before September? Total guess, total speculation on my part, but I'm going to say no. Why? Not necessarily because of hardware or launch site readiness, but because of FAA readiness. However, on the launch site side, it certainly seems like the orbital tank farm has taken a long time to get put together there. So I think the two long poles right now are probably orbital tank farm and FAA permitting.
So make sure to subscribe to the channel so that we can wake you up when September ends.
Yes. I audibly groaned. Let's see. Fisheye saying, after lots of math, my estimates say that an explosion of a fully fueled B4 will be around 7.6 megatons. Do you know what a megaton is? No way.
It always comes down to the mix there. Like you can calculate the amount of methane, you can calculate the amount of oxygen, and if it's just the methane by itself, yeah, exactly. Do you have like a mix so you get like an air-fueled detonation, or do you just have a big fireball of methane? And those are two very different things.
The reason I say no way, though, is because a megaton is like a nuclear bomb. A kiloton is probably more in the range that is plausible, right? Like not a fully fueled, or not a what do you call it? Like a thermonuclear, like fission, fusion, crazy, like no, it's not going to be in the range of megatons. But interesting math there, Fisheye. Thanks for the comment. I mean, I bet it's somewhere around a kiloton or two, something like that.
We're just all sort of hanging out now, like.
Yeah.
Look at that shot with the sun. The sun's behind the camera here, and those billowing plumes coming out of the bottom. The road is still closed for sure. But I think we're going to keep on hanging out here, it seems, right?
I would imagine that the camera jockeys on site had a good day today.
Oh, yeah. Did we link up the tweet from Steven? I know I saw it in there, but did anybody get that link and put it into chat? Because, oh, there we go. Excellent. Well, Jack, why you give it to me? Put it in chat.
Oh, duh.
There, I'm going to paste that over there. Space Ghost Steve actually got some still shots of it there.
I'll paste it over here.
Yeah.
Paste fight.
Paste fight. Nice. He's normally out there in Florida, down at the Cape, and does a ton of photography for us out there. And this is his first trip to Boca Chica. He's going to be out there for a week, sort of helping out with things. I know I've got some concrete that he can be carrying around, but he's going to be out there, and he was able to get a shot of the static fire. There is the link that we put in chat if you want to check it out.
Super cool. I'm happy for Steve to have gotten to see this historic milestone in Boca Chica.
Yeah, excellent.
I'm just gonna say it. Somebody please do a GIF of the 9 times scene from Ferris Bueller, but put Elon's face over the principal's face, and caption it with, "How many engines are they gonna put on Super Heavy? 9? 9." Like, just somebody make that. I don't have bandwidth to do that right now, but please somebody. I know there's lots of people that have editing software and the capability to do that. I just want to see it exist. Okay.
Come
I'll
on,
stop.
Reddit. Hop to it, Reddit.
Yeah, with SpaceX Master Race, please go do.
You want to post up screenshots of our streams and stuff like that? You owe us. You owe us this. Get it done.
Oh, good stuff. Let's see. Bum, bum, bum. Here's a question I think you might have a good answer for, Das. This is so out of my wheelhouse. Why would they put the gimbaled engines on the inner rings rather than the outer ones where they would receive more radial torque?
That's a good question. Maybe they just don't need the radial torque, so there's not really a reason to have to do that. But it may also be that you can stuff more in. So if you have more of you don't need all your engines to gimbal, right? And if you have a large circumference that has a bunch of engines in it, and you can put those as close together as possible because you don't need them to gimbal, maybe just utilizing that additional space in the outer ring makes it easier for them to put the bells closer together and make them not move. I also think that there may be something to do with landing an engine out and stuff like that. You need engines turned on whenever you're landing, right? And you also use those Raptors to gimbal and get a little bit of thrust vector control while you're coming in for a landing. If you're having if you have those engines on the outer ring and you have an engine failure or something like that, your differential's a lot bigger because there's a big lever arm from the outer ring to the center of mass. But if you have the center engines online, maybe that's a little bit less of a differential. You can have the gimbaling happening, and if you need to do the Starship mode choose an engine thing, where you light all three, then you choose the best two or something like that, maybe that's better to do when you're gimbaled engines that you need gimbaling to land. You need thrust vectoring to land. Maybe it's better for them to be closer to the center of mass for that reason as well. I'm spitballing here. And literally, I'm not trained as a rocket engineer. I've never been employed as one. I've just played a lot of Kerbal Space Program. So maybe there's other reasons, but that's what I would guess.
Which honestly is tribute to how much you can learn from Kerbal.
Good point. Now, I may be totally wrong. If I'm totally wrong, nobody say that, because that would be a tribute how wrong you can be.
You sounded like you knew what you were talking about, and that's half the battle.
That's half the battle. I like it. Anybody agree with that? That sounds pretty close, right?
It's good enough for Reddit.
Good enough for Reddit. Ah. Just hanging out. It's like the calm after the storm here. The roadblock is still up. I'm looking at the 24/7 stream, and I still see the roadblock cam, the sheriff lights blinking, and that sort of thing.
The static fire was about 50 minutes ago, I think. So clearly, with all that venting, they're still safing the vehicle, but that's quite a bit of time.
Yep.
About to just say this is a long vent.
I pulled the footage
Wait,
On which camera?
from Danger.
do we
At least that exists.
want to look at it?
I'll get it to the editors. Michael, I don't know how complicated your setup is, but I did pull that footage. I don't know if we want to do that on the daily or what we want to do here, but I'm gonna set it to upload right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was being quiet because I was sneaking the footage off Danger Cam. I went and found it, and the camera did just fine. It recorded it locally. It was just an odd signal encoding thing we had there at the end, but we did get the footage of it. So
I
you know.
don't know about other people's opinion, but if you're all okay with it, I think since there are 10,000 people still watching and the camera did not work during the launch, maybe we make it up by showing it.
All
Show
right,
it.
I get it uploaded right now. I'm working on it.
We can do that. It won't be a problem to do it. So, for the reward for sticking around with us as you watch the tank, you will be the first 10,000 people to see the footage from Danger Cam, and then if you have to go or if you've already left, the daily video will obviously have, or the static fire video, excuse me, will absolutely have that footage. But it
Yeah.
seems like chat is excited, so
I can't wait.
we will make that happen for the loyal supporters who have stuck in with the stream after the static fire.
Somebody do another merch plug for that shirt while I'm doing this. Make them sit through a merch plug at least.
You've seen the stream. Now get the T-shirt. NASA space flight's coming to a torso near you.
What? Did you just make that up?
Yeah.
That's
That was
amazing.
That was amazing. Torso.
It's my lobby to stick around here.
that's I'm not even mad. That's amazing. Jack, do we have a new video, a new folder for that, or is it? Should we just use the July 19th folder?
Probably should do a new folder.
Copy. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for sanity's sake on Brady's part, because he's going to be the one editing this.
All right. On it.
Steve Austin in chat says, "Woohoo! Danger Cam replay." I agree.
Michael, how well can you seek that? Do you need me to trim that exactly? Because I sort of have like 2 minutes before and 2 minutes after.
I can find it. That's fine. No problem.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
Looks like somebody watching our 24/7 feed says there's a crane moving down the road. I do not have it up right now because I only have the one screen as
There's a
I'm on the
crane
road.
There. Yeah.
Looks like it's waiting at the roadblock.
Yeah. I love those. I love the dishes. When the sun's going down, like half the days I want to hijack this camera and point it at those dishes because those dishes look so cool.
I'm
just-
a sucker for radomes and for satellite dishes. I don't know why, but when you get that evening golden hour or morning light, and it kind of gives that like wrap around, like you get a nice little side light in the shadow. They just look so cool, and I
Yeah.
love that the one is just pointing directly at the camera right now, which is something they do during testing. If you didn't know, that's that dish is being used to communicate with the booster at the launch site.
We need more DOSes so we can deploy cameras faster. I mean, I'm not saying that DOS. To be clear, DOS is putting in so many hours into this you can't even believe it. But their project list is like 10,000 things long. But
It's true.
one day we will have so many cameras you cannot even believe it at each site, and there won't be a debate as to what we should point at.
Yeah. Yes. Very cool. I'll need to leave that camera there because when the dish goes back to the upright position, it looks really cool in time lapse. It's like, zzz, and it points back up at the sky. It's really
Okay.
cool. Yeah.
The footage is not bad.
Yeah. Not bad. Not bad.
Pretty decent.
It's pretty decent. All right. Gonna take a second to get it set up right, but
Yeah. Well,
Michael's got the footage now.
I have seen the footage. I watched it myself first because I'm like that.
Because I'm like that.
Okay, here comes the full screen replay. Again, replay
Yep. This is a
but-
replay.
And there's no audio in this, but we'll in the actual edit we'll have all of that amazing audio that Mary picked up because Mary's cam rocked that audio. But without audio, here is the replay at regular speed as seen from Danger Cam.
Hey, do you want me to do audio facsimile?
How about the
Yes.
second time?
I was really kidding, but the way Matt immediately said yes made me. Oh, look at that!
Look at that. Look at the
Wow.
fire.
Oh,
Wow.
Like the fire just continues to even after the thrust stops. The fire, and then look,
Yeah.
isn't that cool?
Yeah. Little piece of debris flapping around there. Or is that a?
beautiful.
Yep.
Just beautiful.
So I
Did the
guess
flappy? Did the flappy thing survive? I'm sure people in the 24/7 chat want to know.
Well, we have a zoomed in view. You tell us if
Was
the
that
flappy
was
thing
that some
survived.
debris that just fell in front of the camera?
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if
Awful
we've
lot
got
of black smoke. Does it look like black smoke to anybody else? Maybe it's just the lighting.
It's dark, but it may just be in the shadow.
Yeah, it's looking whiter as the exposure changes.
It's also
'cause
dissipating. Go ahead, Mike.
This-
Yeah.
The vent steam on the side looks pretty dark too, so I think it's just
Yeah.
the exposure.
Concur.
Yep. Yep. It's also dissipating really quickly. Like a thick particulate smoke, I would expect the plume continues, right? And if it was a vapor of some sort, I'd expect it to dissipate, sort of like we're seeing there.
That was my best rewinding sound.
So this is a replay again, y'all. This is a replay from Danger Cam.
Ignition, roar, engine sounds, honk.
That's a cop
Wait,
out.
what, there wasn't a honk. Are you disappointed, Matt?
I am.
It's like narration.
Oh man.
Look
All
at
right,
that.
wait for the piece of debris to fall in front of the camera. Hang on. Just any second now.
Yeah.
Whatever that was.
What was that?
I wonder if that was some of that thermal insulation blanketing that we've seen come off before.
I don't know.
It definitely looked light. Yeah, look at that. I bet you that's some of that shiny metal and black thermal blanketing we've seen before.
Yeah. Huh.
As long as it's not a dead bird, which it was not a dead bird.
I
So
don't think it was, no. That was my concern.
Oh, my reaction time is not fast enough to pause at the right spot, but there you go. Not sure what that was. But it's interesting because you cannot actually really see the engines ignite due to all the venting. But afterwards, after the static fire is where you can really see the result of the engines. You can see the residual fire and whatnot. But beforehand, I mean, that venting is pretty much obscuring the view.
it really looks like each engine sort of does a post-firing burp. Like, all right, I'm going to clean out everything from my lines. I'm purged and I'm clean now. I'm good to go. Like, it seems, I mean, just so cool. So cool to see.
There you
Yeah.
can see a little bit of fire right there coming down. But look at that lighting too off the sides of the, even above Starship, you can see it reflecting off the ground. Or above
Boosted.
Super Heavy. Thank you. My bad.
Das
An
did that a
awful
couple
lot of-
times earlier, and I didn't correct him, and I felt bad for
Yeah.
that.
No, that's fine. We've watched so many Starship tests, and we need to change gears to super heavy tests, you know?
Vehicle.
Booster test. Yeah.
I gotta say, right before static fire happened, a plane took off, and I
Okay,
heard
this
the sound while I wasn't looking at the screen. And was like, oh god, I missed it, and then it happened. So I'm glad that I didn't actually miss it. But
And this is back to life, of course, in that static fire video. We'll have all of the slow-mo and every single variation of the static fire footage you can imagine from all of our different cameras, including beach. I still have not even seen the wide shot from beach. That's going to be cool as well.
the wide shot from beach is definitely going to be like shuttle vibes, or you know, where a giant plume just comes up and you can really see the scale of things. A lot of
And I
people
wrote-
are asking about the about the tanker truck, and if it survived or has any damage or anything. I don't know if we want to throw a camera tight on that tanker truck, but that might be fun to do if we're looking for something to do.
It was on beach. It was on that one that we were just looking at, and the tanker truck's looking fine.
Yeah, it seemed fine.
Grab a couple. We cleared out the super chat queue, then a couple more came through. CG Fly One, thank you so much there. Saying no commentary on the raggy pipe clamp just to the right of center, the orange rags. Commentary on the pipe clamp. I think we'll have to do the frame by frame and see what lived through that. Like, did the orange rags survive? There was like a flappy bit like we were talking about. I don't think we've done the analysis of exactly which of everybody's favorite ground support infrastructure had survived there. So thanks, CG Fly One, for the support.
I don't see the lightning towers anymore.
The lightning tower?
SpaceX tweeted a photo.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's a cool shot.
Neat.
Huh. Here's another one from James Rosar. Says, thanks for being so real. No Cronkites, but the team covers the bases well. I am definitely not a Walter Cronkite, that's for sure. I'm just a normal guy with no broadcast training who's excited about this and wants to share it with y'all. I think a lot of us are that way. And then there's Matt, who sounds like he should be doing this.
I was gonna say, I apologize for my voice, first off, and second off, if anybody here is gonna be Cronkite, it's gonna be Matt. And something tells me Matt might even have a good Cronkite impression.
Hello, it's 8 p.m. Do you know where your rockets are? I don't think that's a good one. I didn't even think that was a Cronkite reference.
It wasn't, but I still enjoyed it.
Did you know something? You took the shot. Like, we appreciate you taking the shot there.
No risk, no reward.
Yeah. Hey, here's one from W4WWW Raker. Says, how do I donate without having YouTube take a big chunk out of it? Also want to donate to the Danger Cam 2 Fund. There are other ways to support NASA spaceflight, and Chris Bergen is the person to talk to there. We can certainly get you in touch. I don't know if you're on Twitter, but if you are, you could send a DM to @NASA-Spaceflight. That's one way to do it. Or you can get in touch with me. I'm K-Space Academy on Twitter. I know Twitter isn't usually the most useful things. I think there's also an email on the main website. Like, if you go to nasaspaceflight.com, there's a contact email there. And if you're not on Twitter, you could get in touch with Chris that way. But there are a couple different ways to support. And he's also right there in chat. So I'm going to say head over to nasaspaceflight.com, and there should be an email address there if you're not of the DMing variety. But there's a link to Twitter and that sort of stuff as well. Thank you so much for the support there. And either way, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Lindsay Abrams, $9.99. Thank you there, Lindsay. We got Proto Quark from Canada. Canadian, $5. Love the content. Keep it up, gang. Alrighty, Proto Quark, we will. Y'all keep showing up. We'll keep doing this. And then Grant Hugstad from Australia. At least those were Australian dollars. Grant, thank you for the support as well.
It's from Australia, Doss. They're dollary dues. They're Australian dollary dues.
Dollary dues?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
all right.
the venting stopped.
I'm going to stick with my curly L's, and y'all can have your dollary dues, okay?
Hey, Matt agreed with me.
So we'll see if the road reopens with the venting seeming to stop at the pad. But I also do have that tweet from SpaceX. So that was a photo that SpaceX tweeted of static fire, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool shot.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah. The sun like glinting off the side of it, that's cool.
It looks like a Hollywood production.
Yep.
Like it's almost too perfect. It's gorgeous.
It's
one of those things where the CG, it looks like it's CG, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's just real life and crazy.
Like sometimes, I tweeted about this the other day, but SpaceX is very good at doing things that make you suspend your disbelief. You're like, what is that? That doesn't look right. Like 2 Falcon Heavy boosters coming back and landing next to each other. Heck, 1 booster coming back and landing. You're like, what? That looks like CGI. Just because it's something you don't process. You're like, I've seen so many sci-fi movies and action movies and crazy stuff. Like, certainly that's computer generated, but no, that's SpaceX doing things in the real world. They're
Hey, you know what
remarkably
they
good at
say?
it.
You know what they say, Das? Practical effects are always better than CG.
There you go.
When Starship came back down, and they had the camera looking back up at it, and it was just flying at the camera, and then it reoriented itself, and then flew off screen. It looked like a perfect tracking shot.
Yep.
Just cinematic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those particular shots where it's like you're looking up at it as it comes down on top of you. It's just we just don't and haven't seen stuff like that up until those were shown. Like it's just completely new imagery, which often is I mean rare and hard to come by. I mean we all know what rocket launches look like, right? But we've never quite seen anything like that, which was really special. Fun fact: I think the camera that shot that is basically the same camera as Mars Cam, right?
Depends which one it was.
Yeah, not sure.
Mars Cam does not look that good, so if it was Mars Cam, they have done some serious color grading on it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can still hear the pad, I think.
Yeah, and the road is still closed. Huh.
This is gonna date me, but you know what that sounds like to me? Like it sounds like the Scooby-Doo, like just generic machinery sound. Does anyone else
sounds
get that vibe?
It sounds like a jet idling on the runway. Like you're walking out there to the regional jets, and there's not a gate or a ramp or anything like that. Like a jet bridge, you have to go out and walk across the tarmac and then climb the little steps. It sounds like the airport when you're walking across the tarmac to the regional jet that's going to take you on the 25-minute flight from Houston to Corpus Christi.
Yep, sure enough.
That's the vibe that I get from it. So this is, again, one of those things where we don't know the exact timing. SpaceX knows the safety status of the pad, right? And we usually just go through, we hang out, we read some more questions, we talk about some stuff. I can't get over the sound at the beginning of that static fire. It sounded really punctuated. Like, I'm going to get off my broadcast headset, and after the stream, I'm going to listen to the daily video, like whatever we put in the daily, straight from Mary's camera. But it was like like all of a sudden a really staccato, not staccato, just a sudden noise whenever the Raptors fired up. It seems like they roared to life a little bit more in the past, and this was very much like it sort of hit you all of a sudden. I wonder if that has something to do with the lack of a skirt. Like, was that skirt actually directing some of the, like, focusing some of the sound in different directions, and now that we fired Raptors at the ground but without a skirt, the sound dissipates or propagates a little bit differently? I don't know.
That would be a good guess, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack, there's a super chat there for you.
Oh, looking. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Aha! Raven Rose, thank you so much for the support there. They were asking me on Twitter where to go for tomorrow's New Shepard launch, and unfortunately the answer is don't go, because they're closing the road.
Yeah.
Like an entire, like, I don't even know, 60 miles stretch of highway. Okay, so I'm going to tweet about this in a minute here once I'm not on the stream, but Texas Department of Transportation tweeted a little while ago. They're literally closing the road at Guadalupe, like north of the entire. It's like the entirety of Highway 54 from Van Horn all the way up. It's a huge, and they say closed to through traffic, so that would be in Starship nomenclature a soft roadblock, and then it sounds like there's a hard roadblock for about 12 miles around the actual site itself. So if you watched our footage of New Shepard 15, that was from Highway 54, an area that will not be accessible to anybody for New Shepard 16 tomorrow. So unfortunately, the answer for that is if you want to go see it, watch our stream or watch Blue Origin stream or both, and don't waste your time and try and get out there, because you're just gonna be disappointed, unfortunately. And that's not what I would do if I wanted to get the public excited about my space flight, but hey, that's what they're doing.
What a sort of a bummer. Oh,
Huge bummer.
wait. Yeah.
Tiny little comment, but that was to Jack from Rose.
Yep. Thank you so much, Raven Rose.
Absolutely. It's sort of a bummer because I imagine people want to see it, but there's no real public viewing area. It's not like there's stands or bleachers or anything. It's just the side of a road. And it's sort of the thing where if you just leave it open and you let anybody there, it may be sort of unmanageable amounts of traffic. I don't even know that it's a security, like a safety thing. They've launched that rocket so many times, and it's landed well right there on the landing pad after its fashion hover so many times. I don't even really feel like it's a safety thing. I almost feel like it's more of a security and crowd control thing that they're closing down that road. Because even the road itself, Jack, is what, 5 miles away from the launch site?
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
a couple miles.
It's like 5.3 miles, and
Yeah.
it's not a bad view. It's but it is kind of comical to me, given that you can watch a Starship flight from 5 miles away on South Padre Island, and Starship is such a much bigger vehicle, and arguably, I don't want to say it's less safe, but Starship is a test vehicle, right? Whereas New Shepard is basically coming into an operational state, so.
Yeah.
You would think that they would be okay with that, but who knows with all of
I
the
think South
stipulations.
Padre Island, right? 5 miles away, South Padre Island is literally built for this. It's built to have 10,000 people there. It used to be a
True.
massive spring break
That's
destination.
a very good point. Yes,
Like,
there's no infrastructure out there.
Yeah, it's designed for it at South Padre Island. It can easily handle large numbers of people for a Starship launch. In Texas, this is literally desert West Texas. It's just the side of the road. There's not even like a shoulder or anything like that, really. So there's not really a safe place for any large number of people. You know, when we went out there before, we could do it because it was 4 trucks or something like that. It wasn't 200 people trying to park their vehicles all over the highway. And I don't think it's a safety thing. I think that it's more of a crowd control and security thing than it is a keeping people safe. I just don't think that the infrastructure exists there on the side of the public road to support any real number of vehicles, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good observation. I mean, it is the desert. It is the summer. Temperatures will be extremely high during the day. There is no infrastructure out there in terms of anything. You know, you don't want. I guess that makes sense. You wouldn't really want a lot of people piling up, and then if there's an accident or if there's a bunch of people get heat stroke or who knows. I mean, yeah, that's a very good observation, and sort of unfortunate that there isn't a public viewing area out there. But that's a really South Padre Island, like you said, is made for an influx of a large number of people, whereas side of the Highway 54 there in Texas is not. But anyway, back to Starship and Super Heavy. Thank you again, Raven Rose. Sorry you're not able to make it out there.
Yeah, we're doing that stream tomorrow. Actually, Jack is going to travel out there. We don't have ground truth on our equipment yet, so we've never streamed from there. We do have permission to operate our equipment, but we have no guarantee that we'll have enough signal to get a video feed. It's way out in the middle of nowhere. And imagine we're going to be dealing with tower crowding and stuff like that, because journalists and stuff will be there trying to upload their videos to the whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
to be clear,
we'll give it a try.
And we are going to try and stream, but I am only going because we were given media access by Blue Origin. So
yeah.
I won't be doing what I did last time. I will be on Blue Origin property with their permission and all of that.
Yeah,
so
official permission. Even our gear, like I had to send a list of the gear that we were going to operate to get safety approvals and stuff like that. So we are going to try to do that tomorrow morning, but we have no guarantees that our signal will be stable enough to actually bring you a feed. So if we cannot bring you a feed from Jack's camera, of course Jack will record locally, but they'll be doing their stream as well, their Blue Origin stream, and I'm sure that'll be just a regular hoot.
Yeah, and then the upside there is I will be closer than I would have been able to be off the highway. So a little bit of a win. So that should be cool. Stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, hit subscribe.
Yeah. Just a couple more, John. Thank you so much for the support. It says B3 at Sunrise Sunset with the tower and tank farm. New poster idea, just saying. Mary is definitely out there getting shots. So we will see if we can get some cool sunrise, sunset shots, that sort of stuff. Not a bad idea to add the posters in the shop. We've got some prints that you can put on your wall if you like those sunrise, sunset shots. But thank you, John, for the support. Travis Cecil, is there enough time to and support to get you an IMAX camera before the BNSS launch? One can dream. I don't know. Jack could certainly come up with his wish list of what he wants, but one of the big deals with it is even if you have a really fancy camera, you're shooting across miles of atmosphere, and sometimes having a really super fancy camera is just going to get you better resolution on all the atmospheric turbulence that keeps you from seeing a clear picture. So again, we definitely love covering it from all sorts of different angles. We'll have more cameras out there, but our thing is we don't spend as much per camera, but we try for all sorts of different angles. And like we did with Danger Cam today, backups and that sort of stuff, so we can bring you cool shots and live feeds as opposed to dropping a huge stack of bills on one camera that has to stay so far away that it's just going to see a bunch of turbulence. That's sort of my thinking on it, but I know there's lots of different schools of thoughts there. In any event, appreciate the support. I mean, thank you so much, Travis, for that one. Chris Stone as well, 20 bucks. Chris, thank you. No message, just appreciate you. Rob says, the Raptors have sounded like that since Mark II. Also don't have the honk at the end of it since then. I don't remember. I could go back, and I'm sure you could analyze it and be like, dude, Doss, you're making stuff up. That's just in your head. It just, for some reason, it sounded to me more punctuated, like more pop all of a sudden, and you get noise as opposed to like a ramp up or anything like that. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not remembering it correctly. But Rob, either way, thanks for the support. Let's see here. Chris Stone says, cheers to the ground truth, but where's my dude Tim Dodd? Well, if anything flies, I'm sure Tim will be down there. And I know Cosmic Perspective that Tim works with was out. I'm sure Ryan got some fantastic shots of the test there today. But I'm not his keeper, Chris Stone. Jeez, I'm not sure. I imagine that you'll get some really cool footage out of them as well.
Yeah, you can guarantee that Ryan got something good. And gosh, I love everything he shoots. What's up, Ryan?
Absolutely. Cosmic Perspective is really cool. And then last one here, Enzo, what's the plan, or any idea what the plan is for the COPVs towards the bottom of Super Heavy? There's no skirt to hide them in. That's a good question.
What is a COPV?
Oh, wow. I'm going to get it wrong.
Composite
overwrap
vessel.
Yeah, composite overwrap pressure vessel. On this shot here, they're the two vertical black tanks on the left-hand side. Near the bag of popcorn there, whatever that is on the side, those two black tanks with the white label across the middle, or whatever that is, white in the middle, those are COPVs. And they're used to contain other types of gases for pre-pressurizing things or purging lines or running different systems on the rocket. They're just like smaller tanks that can hold really high pressures.
Think of it as an extra burly scuba tank.
There you go, an extra burly scuba tank. I like it, Jack. Good one.
I'm just happy because I got to use the word burly. And so I asked Mary how the sound was for this static fire compared to others, and she says the Raptors sounded so good, so clean and refined. So thanks to Mary for being out there and getting us some ground truth. Ground burn? I don't know. You got it. Thank you, Mary.
What's the... It's got to be like a shutter thing or something, but what the heck is going on with the roadblock camera right now? I looked over and I'm like, is that in the same time zone? Like, look at this. I think I might have messed up a shutter setting or something, but Pat, it looks like the sun's already set.
I'm getting Mars vibes here. I know Mars sunsets are blue. Don't at me. I'm getting Mars vibes here.
Turn the lights off. Time to go home.
Yeah, apparently.
You're still here? Go home.
Huh. There's one more super chat from Chris Stone saying, Smart Aleck comments are just a sarcastic way of saying we can't wait to support y'all getting on the ground there. Chris, we appreciate you. Thank you for the support. Another 15 bucks there. So it is definitely sort of hanging out. And a lot of times we stay open. We keep the NASA Spaceflight stream shop open, not like the merch store, but the stream, until the roadblock so that people can continue watching what's going on. But now we've got the 24/7 stream. Should we be maybe spooling down our commentary here so we can get all the footage pulled and stuff like that, and we can let people who want to continue watching what's going on head on over to Starbase Live where we have these same cameras still going? Does that sound like a plan here? You could eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More importantly, I think my wife could eat. I'm cooking tonight.
You're cooking tonight. Oh, geez, and it's like 8:30 over there. I'm in the same situation. My wife has come up the stairs a couple times, and she sees like 18 monitors filled with video of Starship, and she knows what's going on, but she may be getting hungry as well.
For dinner.
Yeah.
No, really. What's for dinner?
Anyways. Oh, here or Matt? You go first.
Oh.
Oh, I'm making tacos.
Nice.
Tacos.
Yeah,
Taco
it's good to eat
Monday?
tacos. Yeah.
Breaking the mold. Look at you. You don't have to follow any Taco Tuesday calendar.
I'm a rebel.
You can have it on a Monday. Nice. I have no clue what I'm making. Probably salads.
Oh, fancy, healthy man. Make some
Hey,
bacon.
I
Grab
did.
some hot
No.
dogs and bacon.
No, I already made some oven bacon yesterday, actually.
So I've
was-
successfully converted you to the oven bacon master race.
Sunday oven bacon, man.
Yep.
What a treat.
If y'all don't know, cold oven, 400 degrees, single layer of bacon on tin foil, about 20 minutes. You will be thanking me later. It's the best possible way to make bacon. All right, I
It's
think at that
actually really
point,
good.
if I'm talking about food, it's probably time to wrap the stream up, huh?
It is. Michael, you concur there?
Yes, let's wrap it up.
All right. I'll go ahead and run with it, I guess, folks. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Let me go around the horn and introduce the team. I know, something, we don't really use a lot of screen real estate for faces or anything like that. We're sort of disembodied voices floating in the background because we want as much screen real estate as possible for rockets and fire and tanks and that venting and that sort of stuff. So we don't have faces here, but with you on the broadcast today, of course, you were just hearing the voice of Jack Byer. Jack, you're awesome. Never change.
No, you're awesome. Thank you for everything that you do for all the streams. It's insane the amount of work that you have put in, and just goes to show with all the awesome views that we have. Thank you. I'm a fraction of as awesome as you, but it's not a competition. Thank you everybody for watching the stream today. Thank you preemptively for tuning in to our hopeful New Shepard 16 flight stream tomorrow, and thanks for putting up with my annoying voice and annoying jokes. Have a great night, everybody. History, future, history, future.
Well, Jack, get you some rest before you have to roll out super early down to the Blue Origin site tomorrow. You can find Jack on Twitter at the Jack Byer. Also, he's got an Instagram and a Patreon and all sorts of other ways you can support him because he's not just a voice on our broadcast. He takes photos. He has a ton of really awesome aircraft photos as well, chasing down rare planes. So head on over. What's your website, Jack? Where do they go?
JackByer.com. Nice and easy.
JackByer.com. There you go. So head on over there and maybe support Jack. Keep him going with what he's going if you want to do some of the plane photos and stuff like that. Also on the broadcast, a voice that you've heard for the second time here, we had Matt Anderson. That's what I'm supposed to call you, right? Matthew
Yeah, I think
Anderson,
so.
Is that
Yeah.
cool?
Yeah,
Like,
it's good.
Matt, thanks so
Anderson
much
works
for
my
joining
name.
us.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here again. I really enjoyed getting to hang out. This was fantastic. I love watching these things, and it's great to be a part of these. And thank you again to chat for again being so welcoming and kind to me today. It's been nice.
Absolutely. Matt's a longtime friend over from Twitch. We were both Twitch streamers, sort of paying the bills by playing video games 12 hours a day for many years. And we've had the chance to hang out in person on many occasions as well. But you can find him over on Twitch. Twitch.tv/BadNewsBaron. Still has the time to play some games over there, unlike me. At BadNewsBaron on Twitter as well. Now, see, we're never going to let Matt actually tweet stuff for us because we don't want the tweets to be coming from Bad News Baron. Every time there's a scrub or a cancellation, we'll have you cancel it. How's that sound?
Oh, he
Okay,
tweeted
that's
the
fine.
static
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah,
And
I retweeted
Our
it.
main account retweeted it.
Oh,
So
well, I
he
guess
put the word out for the static fire.
you've got
And the
approval
static
then.
fire went well,
Hey!
so
That's not bad news. Maybe Bad News Baron should disseminate our good news, I guess.
If you set the expectations low from the beginning, then it can only go up.
All right. Well, folks, head on over if you want. If you're on Twitter, you follow Matt Bad News Baron on Twitter. Put the @ in front. You know how it works. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Good times. We'll see you around more often.
Thanks, Dos.
Have you ever done a desert bus stream, either of you, on Twitch?
Oh my gosh.
Sort
Please.
of. I've done an equivalent in Star Citizen where I just drove for hours and hours.
Amazing. If you could link that somewhere, I would love to check it out.
Okay.
Jack, if you want to do a desert bus stream, I'm putting an actual camera on your rover, and you're going to
Yes.
drive across the actual desert live for hours. All right, that's how
God,
we do
yes,
desert
please.
bus on the NASA Spaceflight channel. I'm
Can
just
we do
saying.
a members only stream of that? Please, please, please. Yes.
Like 15 cameras on the rover and just drive for 12 hours straight or something.
I will drive to Las Vegas and I will drive back and it will be hilarious because by the end of it I will have lost my mind. Anyways, I'll shut up.
Like Cannonball there. Hey, also pulling all the levers and knobs and dials and stuff like that in the background, Michael Baylor. Michael, thanks for everything you do, dude.
Glad to be a part of the stream today. Super exciting to make some progress on Super Heavy. It had been a while since we had a static fire at Starbase. In fact, this might actually be... No. I think SN15 was before Elon renamed it to Starbase, but first Super Heavy static fire. Very exciting to see that happen. And looking forward to a 9-engine static fire, hopefully.
9 engines?
Nine engines.
9. That's what he said.
I was doing the meme. Come on.
Yeah, you did great.
Ooh, venting.
Oh, jeez.
Can we see it?
That could be a final depress right on cue
Yeah.
as we up.
Yeah. I love the setting sun reflecting off the booster there. Like it's just such a cool view. You
As
know?
a photographer, this is absolutely the best time to photograph these ships because there's no bright hot spots from the sun, and they look so amazing with that gorgeous wraparound lighting.
Gosh. Hey, folks, you know we've done it a couple times over the course of the stream, but massive thanks to our folks in the field as well. Mary, Boca Chica gal out there every single day. One of the reason all of this got started is because Mary was out there taking videos, helping people keep up to date with what was at Boca Chica. One of the few remaining residents. Doesn't work for SpaceX. She actually lives there in the village. There's her Twitter. Make sure you head over and toss her a follow at Boca Chica gal. You want fresh information on what's happening, high quality daily videos. Our editors go through and give you a little bit of a 8 to 22 minute summary of what happened over the course of the day. Close-up shots and labels and which booster is what. She is a fantastic follow out there for sure, especially with all the video that's coming in there. Mary, I don't know if you can hear us right now, but always, always, always thank you so much for everything you do. It doesn't matter if it's hot. It doesn't matter if it's raining, mosquitoes, dust, bad weather. Mary is out there. Other people sort of show up on occasion, and Mary is out there all the time. So massive thanks to Boca Chica gal, the original out there in Boca Chica, sharing what's going on. That's what I like to see in chat. Mary is a legend, chat says. So always, 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 thank you so much for what Mary does. And then also visiting this week, Stephen Marr. Stephen Marr is going to be out there. I've got about 20 metric tons of concrete he's going to carry to robot installations. That's why we sent him down here. We didn't tell him that, though. He's just going to learn that when he opens the envelope that has his instructions in it. But Steve's over on Twitter as well, at Space Coast Steve. He hails from the Space Coast, does a lot of rocket photography out there. Actually quit the day job recently and is chasing rockets full time here with NASA Spaceflight as a way to pay the bills. So make sure you head on over to him. He's got spacecoaststeve.com, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, and then I'm pretty sure that's what it
In
is.
the top right of the screen.
Where? This is
Space-
NASA Spaceflight.
Oh, his
Yeah.
website. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about his handle, because his handle
Yeah,
is
his handle.
underscore Steve without the E. But yes,
Without
you are
the E.
correct. His
Yep.
website is spacecoaststeve.com.
There we go. Okay, I wanted to make sure. Yeah, it's right there. That highlighted in the middle of the stream. So he
Really
will be.
beautiful photos from Steve. Go check out his website. Buy some prints from him. Enjoy them thoroughly because they're awesome.
Yep. And then lastly over here, y'all, as we shut down our commentary stream, we will keep that 24/7 stream up and running. So let's get those links into chat if we could. My name is John Galloway for NASA Spaceflight. You know me from Twitch. You may know me as DOS. But I want to say one more time, thank you all so much for showing up. It's flabbergasting to me that we can get a live stream going and we have even 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people show up, 5, 10, 40,000 of you tuned in today for us. don't even know how to process that, but I take it as a vote of confidence. I'm glad that y'all enjoy our commentary. You like the views that we're able to give, and that really does mean a lot to me. So thank you so much for watching the show. If you're looking for more stuff, I'm over on Twitch. Mostly it's just restreamed NASA spaceflight stuff, but I'm also on Twitter at @KSpaceAcademy, because long ago and far away, I played Kerbal Space Program for a living, literally live streamed for many years over on Twitch. And massive thanks, I'm going to say real quick, also to the folks over on Twitch who got us up to this point. Everything that I learned, I didn't learn from college or school or anything like that about streaming or how to get these cameras running. It was all because the folks on Twitch came around with me for Kerbal streams and virtual field trips and all the different stuff that we've done. It's because of the folks over there on Twitch who are sort of chatting in the secret back room right now. Thank you all so much for supporting me getting up to this point. But like I said, we're going to keep that 24/7 Starbase live stream going. You'll be able to see the camera angles and everything over there. But for now, that's going to bring our commentary to an end here on the NASA Spaceflight channel. You know how to get back, like and subscribe, whatever the kids are saying these days. I don't know, I'm too old for that. But you know how to find the stream again, and we hope that you do in the future. But for now, we'll see y'all next time. Successful looking static fire there for Booster 3. We'll see you nerds later. Thanks for watching.
Propulsion continues to be normal. Our EPA chamber pressure looks good. Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight down, lead off. Bring in, lead off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.